Yo, what is good, homies? Hope y'all are doing well. Got a fun one for y'all today. We're doing a debate here between me and a man named Glenn Lawrence. He'll be here shortly. I just want to do a little bit of an intro first. I just sent him the StreamYard link, so he'll be joining us a bit shortly here. Glenn, I see you backstage. I'll bring you on in a second, right? So yeah. We're just going to be talking about the rational male today, among a few other things. I want to give you guys a little bit of a background on my whole idea behind the rational male. I do think that it's mostly trash. And more specifically, they have some points that they get correct, or that Rollo gets correct here and there. But I think a lot of it's more just coincidence and sort of the epistemic foundation for all of his beliefs and claims. That's what I'm very critical of. So if you have a good idea, if you want to have a good idea of my true beliefs on the rational male, then go to my video called it's very recent. I think it's Rational Male Debunked, but it's like the thumbnail with me with being a cyborg destroying the Rational Male book. All right, so go ahead and look at that one. But we're going to be talking about that here today. I just want to let this stream roll a little bit more, let some people roll in here before we get into the meat and bones of this whole situation, or meat and potatoes, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know what this means, but thank you. Oh, dude, you're the one that kept trolling Alex's stream, bro. Oh, okay. So I also want to make a few announcements too. So tomorrow I'm going to be on the Modern Day Debate channel with Alex, and we're going to be debating a bunch of black pillars. So that should be fun. Huds, thanks for being here, man. Shout out to you. Yeah, man. I don't know what I'd do without him. I'm very scared right now, and as scared, as a matter of fact, of any debate I ever do if Alex isn't by my side, including the times where I've actually debated him. I was terrified. Thank you for coming on. I don't know what the hell this is, but yeah. So actually, I'll bring you on now, Glenn, and you can do a little bit of an introduction, and we'll let some more people roll in, and then we'll get started from there. So, welcome.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. For those that don't know me, my name is Glenn Lawrence. I am a man of many things. I've been a corrections officer, been a personal trainer, been a bodybuilding competitor, been in the Air Force. I'm an actor. I'm a writer, producer, and a father, among many things. So I'm coming. I don't have a degree in psychology. I don't have a degree in. I have a degree in religion. I do have a degree in religion from Liberty University. I am not a genius by any means, but I am a man that has lived a very, very busy life. I've seen a lot of things. So I'm coming in this debate as as you said in your video, in the cyborg video, you said you are talking to your 26-year-old self. I believe you said you're 28 now, right? Well, I'm 38, and my youngest brother is 28. So I'm talking to you as if I'm talking to my younger brother. Okay? In this process. Before we could get down to the meat and potatoes of things, there's a discrepancy that I think that I believe that you need to address in the way that you presented. You pointed out to the cyborg video. That's the video that I responded to you on. When I listened to that video, I'm like, okay, here's a person that was a fan, allegedly, of this work. He found use for it. And then over time, he maybe changed his mind. But 4 months prior to that, you did a video with the panel, and that was yet a completely different narrative. And that's a problem for me. and anybody that takes here's what anybody says seriously. Because see, narratives don't necessarily change unless there's a deception to them. So for me, when I heard the first video, the one that you did, I guess was like a week ago or a week and a half ago, it's a completely different narrative than the video that you did 4 months ago. You know, you acknowledge coming into the space through other people, that you stumbled across Rollo's work because somebody, somebody in the community mentioned it to you. You read it and it was kind of meh, wasn't horrible, wasn't great. You said you didn't really gain anything out of it, but you didn't say it was bad. But then you said, you read it a second time and you're like, oh, this is trash. And then you read it a third time, like, oh my God, this is garbage. This is horrible. And then you even said that you said that men were better off not even reading it.
Something I still stand by. Yeah, I'm curious where you think the discrepancy is. We can play the video that you put on your Instagram if you want.
Well, the discrepancy is in your narration of it. It's like, oh yeah, were you a fan of his? Were you a fan of his work? Were you watching his videos every 2 years or for 2 years straight, as you said you were? Or were you? I read it. It was I wasn't a big fan. Because that's a discrepancy. How can you not say that's a discrepancy?
It's not a discrepancy. Can you be a fan? Can you be a fan of someone, but also
no. How can you say it's not a discrepancy when 1 minute you're saying you're a fan, and you're watching his videos, you appreciate his work, but the previous video you said, I really didn't like it that much. It wasn't that great. I didn't really get anything out of it. And then I read it again, and then I said it was trash. Now, when did you read it again? Was it within the 2 years that you were being a fan, watching his videos every single day?
It was a while between his first reading and the second reading. So I was familiar with his YouTube content first before I read his first book. But let me ask you this: is it possible to be a fan of somebody's content and think that one of the books that they write actually isn't that great or it's mediocre?
I mean, it's possible that pigs could fly too, but it doesn't mean that it falls in line with your narrative.
This is different than pigs flying, right?
No.
There's a bunch of people that I like online that write books, and their books aren't that great. So couldn't that be the same case with Rollo here?
I would say that people's narratives don't change that much. When I present myself, when I talk about how I come across his work, it's consistent. It's the same. There's no deviation.
How did my narrative change?
You were a fan in one video. I stumbled across his work, wasn't a fan. It wasn't that bad. That's a completely different narrative. How can you not even notice that?
How is it different?
Because the way
I don't
that
see what discrepancy is there. How about I just tell you what happened, and then you tell me where you find the discrepancy, all right? So I was a fan. Actually, you put it in your video. You know what? We should just play it first.
Play the video, yeah.
Yeah, let's play the video, and then before we'll just play the two clips that you spliced together, and we might get into your response in that video too, but I don't think that's necessary for now. We can just talk about it.
Well, the reason why the response is necessary because for me it determines whether or not the honesty. Because I'm coming to you honestly. Because unfortunately,
if you think I'm coming to you dishonestly, if that's your
well, I mean, like let's just say I do my homework on people, and I do understand that there's been a lot of discrepancies with you, with Coach Whitepill and other people. So they're
depends on who you ask.
Again, the narrative that I've heard does not seem. You have not produced a consistent narrative for me to actually be like, okay, I could track this. I'm tracking.
For Rollo specifically?
Well, just period. Like I haven't had a consistent narrative from you. Other than you don't like his work, but you did like his work at one point. So there's not real
that's a consistent narrative, and I can substantiate why I used to be a fan of his and why I'm not anymore. But yeah, so let me share this. Do you guys see this here? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, I should be able to. Let's put let's do it like that. All right. I got into the red pill space not through Rollo Tomassi. I got in through a bunch of other different guys. Roosh Lee, Coach Red Pill of all people, more from a political standpoint. And it's not like I'm like a big Coach Red Pill fan by any means, but that was kind of like my entry point way back in the day. And when it comes to Rollo, I read the Rational book because a lot of people were talking about it. the first time I read it, when people give it a certain amount of praise, you have this confirmation bias. Everybody's saying that this is this great book. It's like, oh, this must be really great. So I read it. And I didn't think it was great, but I didn't really see too much of a problem with it. I thought it was kind of conspiratorial, especially toward the end. And then upon second reading, there's a philosopher, I'm sure maybe some of you guys know him. His name's Arthur Schopenhauer. And he basically has this idea that you don't really understand. You need to read a book at least twice in order to truly understand it, right? And so the second time I read it, I was like, damn, this is trash. Like, this is just one giant conspiracy theory with basically no scientific evidence at all. I mean, there's basically like he cites 2 studies in the whole thing, and the rest of it's conjecture. And then the third time I read it, I was like, wow, this is even worse than I thought. And now I think not only do I think it's trash, I think it's absolute poison. And it actually makes you worse off to read it than if you do read it. So anyway, and more specifically, I'm going to make this video as if I'm talking to myself back when I was 26. I'm 28 now. So about 2 years ago, when I was actually a very, very, very big fan of Rollo Tomassi. I would listen to all of his podcasts. I read his book, especially the first one, multiple times. I've read some of his other books as well.
Kelvin, question.
I can play this part if you want, Glenn, but
No, I could say it. I could say it myself. I don't need
okay. So I'm curious where you think you say it in this video, but it's maybe better if you just say it here. So where do you think the discrepancy is?
Okay, now I come from a law enforcement background. All right, when I'm interviewing somebody, they're telling me the accounts of the events that took place. Mm-hmm. A person that is being truthful doesn't deviate from the accounts that took place. It's very systematically delivered. It's this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And no matter how many times I could try to rephrase a question, if they're being honest, they're answering it the same way. Very naturally.
Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable. I would answer the same exact way. If you asked me how I came across Rollo's content, I'd be consistent every time.
But
I mean, there might be gaps in your memory here.
But you weren't consistent in your response, in how you even talked about it. I mean, if it was me, if it would have been me, if I was being consistent, I would have said the same thing in the second video as I did in the first video. Or if the first video is accurate, then I would have said the same thing in the first video as I did in the second video. There wouldn't have been any deviation. And
there's
what
no
you're trying
deviation between what I said in the first.
But what you're trying to do is you're trying to placate to, oh, okay, if this is trash, I think it's garbage, blah blah blah. Oh, but just in case for those Rollo fans out there, hey, I was one like you too. That's a diff.
Are you saying that I wasn't? I literally was.
I don't know what you were. I'm saying
there's
that
nothing
I can't
that
tell.
I said in the first video. Hold on. There's nothing that I said in the first video that I'll play it to you again. I'll disprove you with my own video. You ready?
You don't have to. It doesn't. Your video doesn't prove anything. I'm asking you.
Well, why'd you post it then?
Because it's obvious. There's an obvious deception in there. If you can't see it, that's fine.
You're trying to prove that.
I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything.
That's what you try to do by making the video.
No, I showed a very obvious thing that I saw. That said, hey, this makes me question
that I was obviously deceptive, right? So I'm going to debunk that. Right
hey, I just proved something. I just showed something that was deceptive. I didn't prove anything. I said you had to prove whether or not.
I think you perceived it as deceptive because you had a confirmation.
I said, hey, you know what? It sounds very deceptive. And I said, I didn't even say you were lying. I said, hey, you got some questions to answer there.
Okay, so I'll answer them for you. Ready?
Okay.
I'm going to debunk this right now.
Briefly,
with what you just said. I got into the red pill space not through Rollo Tomassi. I got in through a bunch of other different guys. Roosh V. Coach Red Pill of all people, more from a political standpoint.
Never in here.
And
do you say that you're a fan?
I'm a big Coach Red Pill fan by any means, but that was kind of like my entry point way back in the day. And when it comes to Rollo, I read the Rational book because a lot of people were talking about it. And the first time I read it, there we go, because a lot of people were talking about it. So where do you think I was? Hold on,
where's the fan? Where's the fan? Where's the fan? I was a fan of his work.
I'm about to answer that. When I said I heard a lot of people talking about it, where do you think I heard a lot of people talking about it?
I don't know.
It wasn't like I wasn't like watching like The View, and then there's just like, hey, look, there's this Rational Male book. No, I was already watching Rollo Tomassi, I was a fan of his before I read his book. I came across his YouTube content first.
You didn't say that. I'm only going off what you state.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I can only go off the information what you state. And what I say,
Okay.
what you said was
But I'm
very
telling you
deceiving.
now, that's what happened. This is a sequence of events of what happened.
Okay,
right?
that's fine.
I came across
I
his
just
YouTube
asked you to
content.
clarify. Didn't I ask you just to clarify?
Sure.
You clarified.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, I clarified. I came across
Still
his
doesn't make
YouTube
sense,
content
but-
first, just to reiterate. It does. How does this not make sense?
I mean, I don't have to accept it. I mean, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't mean I have to accept it. It doesn't make sense to me. Again,
That's
doesn't make
the
sense
same
to
thing
me.
feminists say of like, oh, well, this is my truth. But
actually,
the actual truth, right?
no. I'm
so
just
you're
saying, like,
oh, my
again,
truth versus the actual truth.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying from the series of events, does not make sense to me. You could say it. It could be true. It just doesn't. It doesn't add up.
Would it make sense to you if I explained it to you?
You just did, didn't you?
No, really. I mean, I can reiterate. I didn't fully say it, so I'll just say it. So first, I came across. I was a fan of Coach Red Pill. A little bit less Roosh V. I mean, I was familiar with his content. I just never heard of Rollo Tomassi at that point. And then I remember in some Red Pill spaces, I heard people talking about Rollo Tomassi. I'm like, who's this? And for me, I like to go on YouTube first, and I prefer video formats over, books, for example. But yeah, I came across his YouTube content first. So this was, I think he's only been posting on YouTube for like 3 or 4 years. But yeah, this was back before Fresh and Fit started, because I remember Fresh and Fit. I remember Myron recalled like Unplugged Fit or something, and I was following Rollo before Myron was even on his channel. So that was about when I was introduced to his stuff. But yeah, from then, I was like, he always puts his book in the corner or whatever. It's like Rational Male. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll check it out. And I remember when I read the Rational Male, I didn't think it was like mind blowing like people thought. I actually thought a lot of it seemed to contradict a bit some of the things he talked about in his book. I'm sorry, in his podcast. But I really was drawn to Rollo because he would say things like, oh, well, the red pill is written in pencil, not in ink. It can always be changed. He actually reiterated that at the end of his book. So I thought that was the most redeeming quality of the book, saying, hey, I think in one of the final chapters or something, or final paragraphs, he says, I'm not afraid of people who ask questions. I'm afraid of people who don't. So I was like, oh, that's great. This guy's a super open-minded dude. Cool. I got a bit conspiratorial and weird with the, feminine mysticism or whatever toward the end, but, some redeeming qualities to this. I will also say this as well. Back then, when I was 26, I still didn't, I was studying some psychology, but I was a little bit less informed when it came to philosophy. I started to really study philosophy hardcore back in starting in October 2020, because I remember that was the first time I read Nietzsche in Delat. I don't know, I'm a nerd. I remember when I first come across certain thinkers. So once I started to study philosophy, and I had already read the Rational Male book at this point, and I was still a Rollo Tomassi fan then, but I started to question everything around me, including Rollo, including the Red Pill space. And I read it a second time, and I just realized that it was like, yeah, total trash. A lot of the things he says, such as solipsism, if you study philosophy, you understand that it's a philosophical concept that he conflates with psychology that makes absolutely zero sense. And this time, because I didn't go in with the confirmation bias of being a Rollo fanboy, I was able to actually look at it way more objectively and see a lot of the flaws in his work. And all of those flaws I've laid out within the critique video that I did recently.
So you're saying Rollo's the only person that ever used up solipsism. Do you actually even know where he even got the information from? Do you actually know it was a woman that actually started talking about female solipsism in a scholarly journal? I think her name is Ray Langston. When it came to female sexual solipsism, a female author brought up female solipsism. Wasn't Rollo. He didn't create it. He didn't put it together like, oh, this is the shit. Yep, this is what I'm going to roll with because I want people to like my views. That's not what he did. He gathered information. He found other information that supported what he thought, and used the information that was supporting his belief system or his conclusion to support that. I could even prove it to you.
Okay, no, I totally believe it. And that's exactly the problem with Rollo, is that he collects information to fuel the biases that he already has, which is inherently unscientific. That's the problem that I have with him. He doesn't use the scientific method. The scientific method, you have a hypothesis.
Okay, well,
And you try
here's my question though.
You try to run experiments to try to debunk your own hypothesis. So he clearly did not do the due diligence to do that, and instead, because it's very well known, it is well established. Solipsism is not a psychological phenomena. It's something that can never be proven or disproven.
You're
it is
right.
a philosophical concept.
But when you have scholarly journals, peer-reviewed journals from a female psychologist that's stating that females are solipsistic.
Can you cite your sources, man? Like, you can't
Again,
just say, "Oh,
yes,
it's a
I can.
scholarly journal and that's it. Let's bring it up."
I can't pull it up I'm on my phone, but I could pull it up. I could give you the actual article that you could utilize, and you can look it up yourself.
You could put it in the private chat in StreamYard. I can pull it up.
You know what? I know HUDs is in here. Mm-hmm. HUDs has all my information. So HUDs could go ahead and upload that onto the chat so everybody else could see it. Cool. It would be by Ray Langston, I think her name is, about female solipsism. Now, here's my question for you, because you said it's trash. It's ultimately trash, and I believe that you're basing everything on this solipsistic female solipsism is trash. You know, he making this up. He's just making words up out of thin air to support his claim.
I'm not saying. I mean, I think he's probably making it up, but you can't make a claim that like female solipsism exists. I don't know if he came up with it or not. If somebody said, for example, like, "Oh, well, you know, God is secretly a pedophilic purple elephant in disguise," like, I just assume, because it's such a ridiculous claim, that person made it up. But for all I know, one of his friends told him it, and that's where he got it from. Regardless, it's still a stupid assertion. So I don't really care whether Rollo got it from. It's still demonstrably wrong regardless.
Says who? Says you?
Says everything. Says the scientific community.
What scientific community? If you're gonna quote the APA, I'm gonna have this is a retarded conversation, because then you're just gonna tell me that the APA, the same organization that says men have toxic masculinity, you know, is a thing, which is not a real thing. So, I mean, if you're going to use the APA as your definition,
I could refer to the DSM then. That's the manual that psychologists use to diagnose psychological conditions. I'm quite positive that solipsism is not within there. More specifically, female solipsism. That male solipsism doesn't exist, right? So that's the manual that psychologists use.
Ray Langton is her name. You can look it up. Ray Langton. I believe HUDs is just throwing that in the chat. I believe HUDs is throwing that up in the chat.
Okay.
It's under sexual solipsism.
We'll wait for it to happen.
In the JSTRR. So anyway, so you're saying because of that, his work is trash. His work is worse for men. Like, men were better off not reading it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Explain to me this. Then, do you have a body of work that would be another option?
In terms of,
did you produce a body of work that's an alternative option for men to read other than the Rational Male?
Well, I'm writing one right now. Yeah, it's going to be called Beyond.
So you don't have one.
Okay.
Right now. Okay, so you don't have one.
Why does that matter?
Because it really does. Because you're going to sit here and criticize somebody's body of work that has been able to help men, and then you're going to say, like, oh, the men that body of work that's helped were better off not reading it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then you don't even have an alternative body of work to contrast. Like, hey.
Oh, I do. I just didn't write them myself. I'm working on some stuff.
I know.
There's definitely recommendations that I have that are way better.
But I'm saying you don't have one to produce. You're not even in none of your videos I've seen it saying, like, hey, instead of reading this, read this.
I have.
Not that I've seen.
Models.
I haven't watched all your videos.
Mate by Tucker Max and Jeffrey Miller. Yeah. Those are far superior books to The Rational Male. The issue is with The Rational Male is I'll give Rollo credit. It's very unique in the sense that it's not just about dating dynamics and that's it. He also tries to say like, oh, well, what does it mean to be a man? Whatever, you know? And
Have you heard of solipsistic syndrome?
Yeah,
you say it's not real?
that's what has been debunked by the APA as being a psychological disorder. It's not something
it's in the DSMR.
DSM
or the DSM. It's in the DSM. So you're saying it's debunked.
Is it in the most recent iteration of it? Because they update it all the time.
I mean, you did say, the APA. Okay, it's not in the APA, but guess what? It is in the DSM. So.
Really.
So if it's in the DSM and you're saying it, it's just a made up word. I mean, you're not even doing your due diligence in bringing up your argument.
Let me see here. Hold on.
It's in the 5th edition.
I can bring up the definition for the chat.
It's in the 5th edition.
Okay. So let me bring up. Let's see here.
Now back to what I'm saying.
No, hold on. We can stay on this. Hold on. Let me just. I want to make sure that everybody can focus on one thing at a time. So let me bring this up. Now, this is Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess. I mean, that's the only place I could find. But typically with stuff like this, if it's just purely informational, it's fine. So let's read it. Solipsistic syndrome, or solipsism syndrome, refers to a psychological state in which a person feels that reality is not external to their mind. Periods of extended isolation may predispose people to this condition. In particular, the syndrome has been identified as a potential concern for individuals living in outer space for extended periods of time. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but females have all been living in outer space for extended periods of time, which is why they're innately solipsistic. Anyway, overview. The anthropological definition of solipsism is the idea that one's mind is sure to exist. In a solipsistic position, a person only believes their mind or self is sure to exist. This is part of self-existence theory or the view of the self. Solipsism as a belief is about the self-perceiving. Oh, wow. Typo. Solipsism as a belief is about the self-perceiving the world. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm saying this wrong. Solipsism as a belief is about the self believing the world as what the self believes the world to be, or the world is. Individuals experiencing solipsism syndrome feel reality is not real in the sense of being external to their own minds. The syndrome characterized by feelings of loneliness, detachment, and indifference to the outside world. Solipsism syndrome is not currently recognized as psychiatric disorder by the American Psychological Association, though it shares similarities with depersonalization disorder, which is recognized. Solipsism syndrome is distinct from solipsism, which is a philosophical position that nothing exists or can be known to exist outside of one's own mind, rather than a psychological state. Advocates of this philosophy do not necessarily suffer from solipsism syndrome, and sufferers do not necessarily subscribe to solipsism as a school of intellectual thought. Periods of extended isolation may predispose people to solipsism syndrome. In particular, the syndrome has been identified as a potential challenge for astronauts and cosmonauts on long-term missions, and these concerns influence the design of artificial habitats. Okay, so it looks like the APA says that it doesn't exist, more specifically because depersonalization disorder is a more accurate way to put it. Looks like the DSM does say that it exists, so those two conflict. So I guess you got me there. Now let me bring this up.
Hold on. Let me highlight this. It is a philosophical concept and a psychological concept. So the DSM-5, which psychologists use today, which you said it didn't exist.
Oh, I was mistaken on that. But let me ask you this. What they are saying is solipsism syndrome. Is that the same thing that Rollo's talking about in his book? Because what I just read there is very different from what he describes as female solipsism.
Have you read most of his work? Have you read the articles? Because I could point out a lot of different things that he elaborates on solipsism.
Okay.
Now, you also mentioned, this is part to your solipsism talk, about the voting. You said that you posted a video, and it was in that same video, I believe, about women's right to vote in 1970, and that this guy was what was the word that you used?
That I used or that
Yeah,
Rollo
you
used?
I don't know. You said it, so I'm just going off of what you said.
About the guy who
That
voted for women's suffrage.
yeah, for the voting rights.
Well, Rollo
And
called
you
him
said,
like a beta male. But yeah.
yeah, I would agree.
Are you
Do
saying
you for
specifically what I said?
well, because you believe, if I gather right, that you believe that it was right for everybody to vote at that time.
I think
And
I think women should be able to vote. Yes, if that's what you're asking me.
and I'd say that you were wrong in that context. Because the reason why, if you actually go back to history, you gotta do some homework here. If you do history, not everybody had the right to vote at one point. And I'm not just talking about slaves. I'm talking about people in general. Do you know why men were given the right to vote?
A lot of it had to do with land ownership back in the day, from my understanding.
It also had to do with the draft. You had the right to have a say so in something, whether or not you're going to have to be drafted and go killed to go fight for this nation. Do women get drafted?
No.
Okay.
I think they
why,
should.
That's why at that time it was such a ridiculous thing to think of, women having the right to vote when they don't have any skin in the game. They're not going to die. Their lives are not going to be jeopardized. So when it comes down to women's right to vote, that is the fundamental problem in this, is that we're not equal. Do you believe men and women are equal?
In terms of value?
Do you believe that men and women...
What does that mean, equal?
Do you believe that they are equal? Do you think that men and women are... we can have egalitarian, equal partnerships, that we are all the same, we are blank slate equals?
No. I'm not into the blank slate idea. That's been thoroughly debunked. Men and women are different. Yes, there's difference between males and females, biological, psychological, yes. But solipsism is not one of them.
Do you think they're functional equals?
What does that mean? Like
are we functionally equal that they could do the same thing? Can a woman do the same thing as a man?
No, you're a bodybuilder. You competed. I used to compete in bodybuilding too. We both know that, like, if in terms of strength, like, women just cannot match up even close, anything physically.
Do you think that we're psychologically different? Do you think our brains are hardwired the same?
No, but they're more similar than they are different.
Actually, they're more different than they are similar. There's brain scans that prove that they're different more than they are similar.
Really?
Yes.
It all comes down to what you compare it to. So, for example, is a male human brain more similar to a male lizard brain, or more similar to a male female brain? I'm sorry, a human female brain. Like, what does that even mean to say that they're more different than?
Meaning that, like, if you give two people, a male and a female, the same motivation, same scenery or same image, that the brains will respond differently, proving that they are different than they are. If they were similar, then they should respond the same or close to the same. But when they respond differently, the same
male brains, two different males can also respond differently to the same stimulus too.
Yes, but those will respond more similar than they would be differently.
For the most part, yeah, it just depends. I mean, it depends if you.
So
the brain scans of the brain scans of gay men, for example, in certain situations, they would actually. This has been studied, so I would look up the works of Robert Sapolsky. A lot of his lectures are actually free on YouTube, but they've shown that there's some parts of the brain that are more similar to women and gay men than they are to straight men.
But men and women are so different down to the cellular level. The cellular level, how things are processed. Cellular level.
So like a white blood cell for a woman would be different than a white blood cell for a man.
It could be women might have a different count of white blood cells than men.
Okay, so different men have different counts of white blood cells than other men too.
Yeah, that makes them different. But I'm saying in average, men and women are different down to the very minimal things, the smallest things that makes us different.
Yeah. That's why there's a differentiation.
Okay,
That's why it's not
so
everybody's a man. That's why we make a differentiation
you're
between
right.
men and women.
So, but then when you have that thought process, how many women do you know jump in front of a bullet?
0.
When active shooter.
I don't know, man. Dude, I don't come from a military background like you. I don't know any men that have jumped in front of a bullet either, personally. I've heard stories, of course.
Well, that's nice because there's a lot of safe
Do you
guys.
think
You're
a woman
safe.
would jump in front of a bullet? Hold on. Do you think a woman would jump in front of a bullet if it was her child she was defending?
That's different.
How is that different?
Because a man will do it for a woman that's not related to him. Men do it for children that are not related to him.
Some men, very honorable men, but there's a lot of men who
No. Naturally, men will do it. That's why every time we have an active shooter scene, it's not the guys that are out there chasing the shooter or going after the guy are not fucking all those broads, are not fathering all those kids to these women. Okay? Some of these guys have no fucking clue who these women are. Like the Las Vegas shooting. Okay? Mm-hmm. Guys were defending women they had no relation to. 77 dead. Men jumping in front and saving people's lives that they don't even fucking know. Not one broad jumped in front of a dude and said, I'm going to take a bullet for this man. Why? Because it shows their solipsism. Their solipsistic nature is right there. It's like, I need to survive. I need to protect myself because I'm the incubators of life.
Okay. So first of all, yes, it's very honorable for any man to, put themselves in front of a bullet for anybody.
Can you give one account? Can you give one account where you've seen a woman do that? In history,
no,
anytime.
I can't even give you an account of men who did that either, like specifically. I'm sure it's happened. And then this is also,
I'm sure you could Google real fast.
Is putting yourself in front of a bullet, is putting yourself in front of a bullet the only form of sacrifice? Is that the only way that you can sacrifice yourself?
It's not honor.
What if, hold on. Let me put this to you here. What if, for example, that somebody needed a kidney and you ended up sacrificing yourself as a woman and gave your kidney to somebody else?
You're not dying.
Isn't that pretty honorable? Okay, what about this?
It's not the same. It's not the fucking same, bro.
Hold on. What if a woman is in danger of dying from a pregnancy, but she's against abortion? She loves her child, so therefore she gives birth to the kid despite the doctor saying that you should abort it. Is that still solipsism?
That's still not the same. Yes, because that's still her.
She could
die.
She could die. That's the same thing as
fucking her. That's her offspring. That's her legacy.
Yeah, that's fine. Wait. So hold on. What if if a man sacrifices himself for his family, right? There's some active shooter. They try to shoot his family, and then he puts himself in the.
Why are you moving the goalpost, dude?
Hold on. Is that honorable or not honorable? Yes or no?
It's his responsibility. It's your fucking job if it's your family.
Is it honorable?
No, it's your fucking job.
Okay.
That's your responsibility.
Is it honorable? Can something be your job and be honorable at the same time? Yes or no?
It's instinctive for a man to do that for his family. It's natural. You could call it honorable. See, I don't call things honorable that is your responsibility. Okay? I don't give kudos to people doing what they're supposed to do. Like if you get up today and you went to work and you went to work on time and you're like, hey boss, I'm here on time. I don't fucking care. That's your fucking job. Okay? That's your responsibility.
The men in the Vegas shooting, are they supposed to put themselves in harm's way to protect those random people?
It was instinctual. That's what I'm saying. It was their instinct.
So you're making my point then. That was instinctual. And then also it's instinctual for a man to put himself in front of his family. Also, it's instinctual for a woman to protect her child. All of them are honorable.
No,
you might have had a point if you said that wasn't instinctual.
It's instinctual for a man to do that, but it's not about honorable. It's not anything about honorable. Nobody's saying honorable but you. I'm saying it's instinctual. You're the one running around with honorable. It's not honorable. When a woman doesn't jump in front of a bullet for a man, it's her instinct. Why? She wants the man to protect her. Why? Because the man is supposed to protect. That's his natural instinct to defend. Okay? So the woman's natural instinct is, I need to be safe. I need to be protected.
It's not the natural instinct for the man. What about
the
different? No. The natural instinct for human beings is self-preservation, both men and women. So for every guy that put himself in front of a bullet, again, extremely honorable thing, How many men?
Who says it's honorable other than you? It's instinctual.
Okay, fine.
Stop saying something
No,
is
honorable. We'll say it's instinctual then. Hold on. We'll say it's instinctual. Is it instinctual for all the same exact men who didn't put themselves in front of the bull instead ran for the hills? Is that instinctual too?
Yeah, for bitches.
Crickets.
For bitches, yeah.
Okay, so look, then that's not central to male nature then. Unless you're
it is
saying that
central
the
to
vast
male
majority
nature.
of men are bitchy men who actually have female brains.
Nowadays, absolutely. I would definitely say nowadays.
Hold on, wait. It's a nurture.
It's not a nurture. It's not a nurture thing. It's a nature thing. So you could actually
just said nowadays. Wait, so
yes,
everybody's male natures, their genetics just all of them automatically change.
No, but it could be suppressed
in the span
over
of 50 years where everyone just became a bitch.
Are you going to let me talk or are you going to let me finish? Okay, because it could be suppressed. Your nature could be suppressed by what you're taught. Okay, so
yeah, that's nurture by definition.
Yeah, it could be taught. You could be taught to not be a man. I mean, we see that all the time. Why do you think there's all these school shooters? These school shooters are because boys were not taught to be boys. They're taught to be taught like women.
Mm-hmm.
So when they respond like the way that they're taught, and they don't see any change, they get frustrated and they react and they blow up.
You think maybe there might also be some psychological condition that they had? That
no, I don't think. I really don't think I don't think everybody that has been a psychological issue that they're born with. I really don't think the odds are that high for the psychological issues. Do I think some of them could develop them over time? Absolutely. But you're trying to say that they're born with? No. But that's just my personal opinion.
So you're willing to admit then that solipsism could be a learned behavior and it's not inherent to female nature just by the fact that
I didn't say that. I did not.
You just said psychological conditions you're not born with, that they're given to you, that you're nurtured through. You just
said. Do you think I think they could be because of some psychological issue that they were born with? I never did I say that I think this could be solipsism that they were born with. You just asked me.
You said before. You said yourself before that solipsism is a psychological condition. That's your assertion.
You're trying to put words in my mouth, and I'm not going to take that. Okay. Because I never said.
I'm literally just saying back to you exactly what you said.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Let's just be honest. You said. You
can watch the replay, bro. You can watch it later. I'm literally just saying what you said.
Somebody could be diagnosed from birth, from depression disorder or anxiety disorder, from birth, but not solipsism. You're using solipsism. You just said. Do I think that somebody could be diagnosed from birth with a mental disorder that could always be the reason of this? And I said no.
It's because solipsism as a psychological disorder doesn't exist. More specifically, it's not something that is directly. Hold on.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist when I just proved to you that the DMR just said it. It does. It's in there.
No, it exists, but by your worldview, it doesn't exist. What you just said there.
No, I didn't say that. I just said that I don't think everybody is born with solipsism.
Psychological conditions you're born with, yes or no?
I think some people can be.
Rollo's assertion, more specifically about female solipsism, right? Specifically in his book, he says that the club slut you nailed last night is no different than the Amish girl in the Dutch countryside, basically because they're both solipsistic and hypergamous. That is central to female nature. It's not a learned behavior. It's part of who they are. It's part of their DNA. And you're also making the claim now. So that's a claim about female psychology, right? You're also making the claim that you're not born with psychological conditions, that it's just nurture. Now, if you're saying that they're women learn to become solipsistic, that's one thing. It's another thing to say that they are born solipsistic. That's part of their very nature. And more specifically, it's part of female nature and not part of male nature.
See, you're asking me, because we were talking about school shooters. Okay? You're trying to mix the two.
You brought up school shooters. I don't even know how we
let's not mix the two. Let's not mix the two. Okay, I was talking about boys being raised or being taught to handle things in a feminine way. Mm-hmm. All right, that doesn't suit them, and when the feminine way doesn't suit them, they lash out. That's what I think is a big problem We need to differentiate the way that we raise men and boys, or boys and girls. We need to
Totally
understand
agreed.
that they're okay. We need to understand that there's a different way of teaching boys than there is teaching girls. And when we try
Yes.
to make them all one and try to make it one big, oh, we're going to teach both this way. That's why I think that we have problems in that area. Now,
I totally
when
agree,
you,
but I do not necessarily think that that's the reason exclusively for school shootings. I think
oh,
most
I
of the
didn't say
people
that. I didn't say that. I think it was. I said I think it plays a role. I think it plays
Oh,
a
sure.
big role.
If you and I are in agreement there, they definitely play a role for sure.
So, tell me this: how is all this make this book so trash? Help me understand this. Why is this book? Why were men better off not reading this book?
Because they come away from the book hating women. That's why.
Okay, that's your answer. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm. Or they think women are lesser than, and yeah. So look, I don't know if this is your response, but this is Rollo's response. Rollo's response says, actually, well, we by learning about female nature, we're able to accept women for how they are. We don't hate them. It's just a giant cop out, and that's not actually true. It's based on bigotry. So and I could prove that here as a perfect example. All right. So let's take bigotry, for example. So there's an umbrella of bigotry as a concept. Underneath bigotry,
I've seen this whole thing before.
You see my video about it? Okay, so
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I'll explain to the audience then, right?
Okay.
There's sexism as part of it. Sexism, there's two different aspects of it: misogyny, misandry, right? Hatred toward women is hatred toward men. Again, it's not just hatred; it's also it's more specifically prejudice, right? But and then there's also, when it comes to another form of bigotry, is racism, right? And racism doesn't necessarily have to be 100% rooted in hate. It could more so say, oh, well, there's significant differences in the nature of race between races, and therefore one race is more superior than the other, and therefore we're going to put prejudices on them, right? So if we're being logically consistent, if you say, for example, well, let me ask if you agree with this statement, Glenn. We can't be mad at women for acting hypergamous, and I don't know, like if they monkey branch from one guy to another, we can't blame them for doing that because it's in their hypergamous nature. It's just part of who they are. Would you agree with that?
In that statement, sure.
Okay. So, but you don't think that that's like sexist or misogynist in any way?
No.
Okay.
I got a question for you.
So what if I said, no, hold on, wait, this is important. What if I asked you this then? We can't be mad at black people for going around and shooting and stabbing people. It's just in their very nature. Is that racist? Yes or no?
Well, no. I mean that is racist.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is you're conflating two different things. You're using two
they're
different
both under
examples.
the umbrella of bigotry. They're both bigoted statements because you're ascribing.
It depends on the stats. It literally depends on the stats. Like, you're saying you have statistics to support that, like all black people are running around stabbing people?
No. Do you have statistics?
Okay, but we have statistics
that all women are
hypergamous?
So solipsistic to the point, where they'll leave their man for a higher quality man every time.
See, that's the problem. You're taking things absolute. I don't take his work as he's saying that anything's absolute.
No. That's Rollo's problem. The problem I have with Rollo
Rollo doesn't take anything out. Say that this is always going to happen. It's like saying this.
Yes, he did.
Does every dog?
This earlier.
Does every dog have teeth? Does every dog have teeth?
Almost all of them, unless somebody pulled their teeth out.
Okay, so when dogs are born, they all have teeth.
I think I don't know, maybe if they're like human children. I don't even know if human children have teeth when they're born. I don't know. Where are you going with this?
So if all dogs have teeth, does that mean all dogs are going to bite you?
No.
Okay, same thing with hypergamy. Same thing with solipsism. Just because they have the capability of doing it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to act on it. It means that they
Exactly.
can
Just
act
because
on it.
black people are way more likely to stab you doesn't mean that they're going to do it. Is that still racist?
Who's
what I
saying
just
anything
said
about
there?
black people stabbing you?
No, what
Like
I'm saying is, hold on, either you're being deliberately obtuse or you just don't understand what I'm saying here. Logically speaking, but if we're being logically consistent, these two exact things add up. If I make the assumption and I say, oh, well, black people are inherently more likely to stab and rob people, therefore we should be more forgiving of them when they do it as opposed to white people. It's bad to say that and it's racist to say that. You
No,
agreed.
you're
You had that
reframing.
reaction.
You
Hold
are
on, hold
trying
on,
to
hold on, hold on,
reframe
hold
this.
on.
You're trying to
No, I'm
reframe
not
this.
trying to reframe anything. I'm
Yes,
not
you
trying to
are.
reframe
You
anything.
are.
I
You
think you
are.
know that
You're
you
absolutely.
got here, and this is why you're trying to stop.
First
All
of all,
right. So
I don't. You can keep
can I
going.
continue?
You can keep going, but you haven't got, bro. You can't get me on
Okay,
this
that's
because
fine.
you're
If
reframing.
you don't think you got, let me finish what I'm about to say.
Say what you need to say.
Okay, so I'll restart from the beginning. If you say that, oh, we can't be mad at black people because it is in their nature to rob and steal, and therefore when they rob and steal, we need to forgive them. If that is bad, that is the same equivalent logically as saying, oh, women, because of their solipsistic hypergamous nature, when they leave a man for a higher quality man, we can't be mad at them because that's just who they are. That's just in their nature. Logically, those two things are the same. If you think one is bad because you're just assuming that all black people are a certain way, and then this one, you're just assuming all women are the same way, those are both bigoted statements. Yes or no?
No, that's a judgment call.
Come on, bro. You know
Because
you got, which is why it's just like, come on, man.
No,
This is why,
I
guys,
mean,
this is why you don't want to become an ideologue, right? Because
first
then
of
you
all,
start to
that's a logical fallacy. Let's just be honest
It's
with
not
it.
a logical. I literally laid out for you how they're logically consistent to one another.
No, they're not consistent
You
because
want me to explain to you why it's logically
No, let me
consistent?
explain to why it's bullshit. Okay, because one, you don't have stats that saying all black people are going to stab people. We have plenty of examples of evidence that prove hypergamy, that prove women have act hypergamous. Okay, but you don't have the stats. That's why I'm saying it's a bullshit hypothetical.
Oh,
okay.
No. There's stats to show that more people commit crimes in the U.S. That more black people commit crimes in the U.S. than any other race. That in itself
that's not accurate. There's more black people that commit crimes against black people. Yes. If you're going to quote the FBI, do it right because I know the FBI statistics on this. All right. If you're going to quote these things. Then?
In terms of percentage of criminals, when it comes to each race, blacks have a higher percentage of criminals among their own race than any other race. That is factually true.
I would say black people have been convicted more than any other race. Not necessarily that committed crimes.
Now,
okay,
is that
so
a racist statement?
You're literally giving me a black and white fallacy, logical fallacy here.
No,
and
it's not
that.
because I literally
it is.
You can't call something a logical fallacy when then I just explain it to you logically. I literally broke it down logically for you. I said
you're trying to say
and then there's these two things.
It's not it's not. If I say this, like all dogs have teeth, right? Your conclusion would be, well, you're saying all dogs will bite you. Well, no, I'm not.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm trying to tell you,
I'm
like,
not saying
it's not the same. It's not the same. Just because a woman could be hypergamous,
I totally agree.
Just because a woman could be hypergamous and solipsistic doesn't mean she's always going to act on it. It means that she can. She has the capability of acting on it.
Yes.
So when you read his work, how is this bad? How is it bad to understand that certain people could react this way? How is it bad for men?
People, as in women.
How is it bad for that all women could respond this way, are capable of responding this way? How is it bad for men to know that? Tell me, how is it trash?
Is it bad to know that all black people specifically might just stab you and shoot you?
Again, you're using an
I'm using logic. Oh no.
No, it's not a logic. It's not logic. You're not, because you're using
literally logic by definition.
No, it's not. You're using racism. You're trying to use a racist, antidote for your argument. So let me go back to your this is where you're wrong with the whole Rollo's work or the rational male is bad. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bring back the first principles. I like it.
You don't have any body of work, one, to support, like, hey, an alternative. You have not produced anything.
So ad hominem.
No. Let me finish. I'm not done.
Ad hominem
You haven't.
Kevin. I like how you accuse me of logical fallacies, and then the first thing that you do after that is throw an ad hominem attack.
So you
Let's
don't.
say that I
you
have.
don't-
Hold on. Let's say that I have 0 bodies of work, right? Does
Okay,
that
you don't.
completely? Does that then therefore make Rollo's book good just because Kevin doesn't have work? Kevin doesn't have a book himself.
No, it means that you're not into fixing the solution if it is a problem. You've done how many
I am
videos?
into fixing a solution, which is
but
why I'm critical of his book.
You don't have anything to support. You don't have another alternative. Okay, so let me explain
Mate
this.
by Tucker Max, Models by Mark Manson.
You don't
Just
have
name a
one.
few.
You don't. You, Kevin Ray Wilder,
Ad
haven't
hominem attack.
produced
Ad
shit.
hominem attack.
Okay, let me tell you something, Kevin. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell story
You're just
time.
throwing ad homs my way.
Let me
have anything to do with
How
the
about you
rational
shut
man?
up and listen to what I'm going to tell you?
Okay.
2017, same time you found that work, right? You said you found his work around 2017.
No. It had to be like 2019 because it was when I was in Asia already. I moved to Asia in 2019. So yeah.
I was married for 13 years. I have a 14-year-old son. All right.
That's awesome. I mean, the divorce is not awesome. I'm sorry about that, but having a kid.
I found out my wife cheated on me 3 times.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Lost everything. Lost my kid. Lost everything. I was ready. If you actually watch my videos, one of my first videos is talking about dealing with male suicide after being zeroed out.
Mm-hmm.
I found Rollo's work. I read it. It spoke to me. I realized, you know what? Wow, everything that he's mentioning, I've lived through. I understand. I could relate to it. So instead of putting the 9mm to my head, I chose, you know what? There's hope out there. Now that I have these tools and understanding, there's hope out there. I have a beautiful fiance. I have a gorgeous model as a fiance. Okay? She loves me. She lives in my frame. But guess what? The work that you said was trash. The work that you said was garbage. You're telling me that I was better off not reading it. Now, if I did not read it, do you know what options I would have done? Do you know what steps I would have taken next if I didn't find that work? I probably wouldn't be here to debate you today. I probably would not be here to debate you today on this. So when you're saying that somebody's work is trash, when I found this work, and this work actually spoke to me and helped me to find other men in the community, like Paul from Apex Mindset, to do counseling with, by listening to other content creators. Now, there's some out there that I really am not a big fan of. I just think that, you know, it's all show or it's a little too much for me. It's not my thing, you know. Then I won't even say their names because they don't need to be mentioned. But there's some big names out there that are connected that I don't really fuck with. That's just me because I just don't think they bring any benefit. But it was started from that work. It was started from finding the rational male. And from there, I was able to say, you know what? I have a reason to keep going. I have a reason to keep fighting. I understand things different. I understand my mistakes now more than any. I wasn't even mad at my ex as I was mad at myself. So you're telling me, again, when you say this book is trash and it's poison, that I was better off not reading it. How can you tell me that when I've had more success since then than I did before?
Could you have found that information elsewhere, or is it only information that you could have gotten from the rational male?
I only found it from the rational male.
Okay.
Could have, should have.
So you're hold on. Look. First, I need to be careful here because what you went through. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I need to preempt it with what I'm about to say. Okay. I'm glad that you didn't kill yourself, no matter what disagreements we have. I love humanity. I don't want anybody to be harmed, which is part of the reason why I have a problem with Rollo's book, and I'll get to that in a second. But what you're making there as a claim is an emotional argument, which doesn't necessarily invalidate it.
No, it's actual factual argument because it's all facts. I'm telling you exactly step by step what happened. It's not emotional.
But your emotions, you had the emotional sort of, I mean, did you like you had the emotional urge to kill yourself, right? And then Rollo's book had an influence on you, and then now you're just like, oh, well, I don't want to kill myself. That's an emotional state change. But you're literally appealing to emotions here. And the reason I'm saying that is
I'm not appealing to
emotion.
Hold
on. Again, I need to be careful here because I'm not trying to disparage the experience that you had.
No, but this is what you're saying.
That, brother. I really do.
But hold on. But when you say something, when you make a statement like, this book is trash, men that read it are better off not reading it. But there's so many men that have been verge of suicide. And you know what? Suicide can be a pragmatic decision. Men can say, you know what? The people that I love are better off without me. I should do this, X, Y, and Z. Men logically get to that point and they rationalize it. It's not an emotional thing. It could be a pragmatic decision. So when somebody gets to that point and they find work that says, hey, guess what? Let me help you have some understanding. Let me give you some clarity of what you're dealing with here. And you're saying that work is trash and that person decides not to end their life. You're saying that person, so no, you're saying the person should have ended his life?
No, of course I'm not saying that.
So then you
but
should.
What I am saying is
they should be thankful. They should be thankful that they found Rollo's work, even though you don't agree with it. The work may have saved their life.
People should be thankful to me for having them not read Rollo's book because it helped save their life. I can throw out anecdotes too, bro.
What? But can you prove it? Whose life has you saved?
It doesn't matter. I didn't say that. I'm saying
you
that
have,
as the thought
but I'm saying, whose life has you saved? What?
I don't know.
Person? Exactly. You can have zero effect on men's life. But
I've had people in my past coaching program that have told me that I helped them feel much better. The implication being,
is it your coaching program, or Coach Whitepill's coaching program that you took from him? Which one is it?
My coaching program. There were people in Coach Whitepill's program doing that too, for sure.
But I'm saying
I'm not going to name names because I don't want to dox the client. I don't even know if they're still working with them, but you know the argument that you just made there. The point I was trying to make is the cults say the same exact thing. People who join cults, their justification is, oh, I was going to die. I was going to kill myself. I was on life's edge. And then, you know, the freaking, insert cult here saved my life, right? Does that necessarily mean that the cult itself is okay? Does that alleviate the cult from scrutiny?
You're reframing. Don't reframe. Just stick to it.
This is logically the same. We keep talking about logic.
I'm talking about this. You're saying this book. I'm not talking about a fucking cult. I'm talking about, you're saying this body of work. You're saying it's so trash that men that stumbled across it, that were on the verge of suicide, were better off not reading it.
Yes.
So if they were on the verge of suicide,
because
ready to kill themselves,
that information somewhere else.
But they didn't. But they didn't. If they could have, they probably would have avoided the situation altogether. If I would have got the information beforehand, if I would have known this information beforehand, then I probably would have avoided the entire problem altogether.
Can I use logic here, or do you have your permission to use logic, or are you just going to deny it?
You could use whatever you claim is logic,
okay,
but you
so
haven't
I'll
really
just say it, and you can
argument.
deny it whether you want to or not, okay? Somebody says, hey, I'm on the verge of suicide. And then the cult of Satan comes around, and they convince me not to. They saved my life. Therefore, the cult of Satan is great. That's the same exact logic you're using for the rational male right now.
No. I'm saying
if the
cult and Satan saved your life and kept you, that's good that they kept your life alive. I'm glad they didn't make you take your life.
Yeah, but did you need the cult of Satan specifically to save you from your life, or are there other alternatives possibly? I don't know, like maybe seeing a therapist, right? A licensed therapist, an actual psychologist.
I was seeing one.
Oh, maybe he wasn't that great then. I apologize. Look, it's not like therapy is always the best thing.
But you're making it seem like this body of work is so trash when there's like over 1,500 men that I have read comments of that said that this body of work has saved their life, that this body of work has improved their marriage, that this body of work, handwritten notes I have seen that this guy has
I
received.
can name you cults that have had tens of thousands of people. Does that make it more that say the same exact shit? Does that make it more
what are these
legitimate?
cults? What do these cults have done? These cults have ended up killing people.
Not all of them.
Please.
The Church of
Name
Mormon
one.
is technically a cult. Are they going around killing people? No.
Do you have a degree in religion now? You're going to speak about religions?
Do I need to have a degree in religion to speak about it?
Sure. If you're going to talk about saying it's a cult,
Really?
yeah.
So
it's your
hold
opinion.
on. Rollo
your
doesn't
opinion.
have. Wait.
Your
Rollo
opinion that is no. Your
Rollo
opinion.
doesn't have a degree.
Your opinion.
Hold on.
Your opinion
Rollo
is
doesn't
that the Church of Mormon is a cult.
Glenn,
What evidence do you have to support that you're saying that the Church of Mormon is a cult?
Rollo doesn't have a degree in evolutionary
Answer that
psychology.
question. How can you say that the Church of Mormon is a cult?
It's a cult because if you leave, they ostracize you and they kick you out. And I actually know people personally, or know of people who've said people personally, where they leave the Church of Mormon when they're young and then they're never even allowed back in the family again. Cult-like behavior. That's not the only thing that makes it a cult, but that's one of the things. Now, let me ask you this. Let me ask my question. Rollo Tomassi does not have a degree in evolutionary biology, yet you are okay with him talking about evolutionary biology, yes or no?
I'm okay with people talking about whatever they bring up that is sound, that I find sound.
So why did you just said, oh, you don't have a degree in religion, therefore you can't talk about this. That was your justification. Not oh, you're not sound. You said, oh, you don't have a degree in this.
But again,
so really
you're
what
speaking.
You're
speaking. No, it's not selection bias. You're going to say that a cult. You can say Christianity is a cult because they ostracize people out of church too.
Well, Christianity is very a large. There's so many sects of Christianity.
But it's a cult because they ostracize people out of churches too.
Really, which one? The Catholic Church?
No.
In my opinion, that's Catholic Church, and this is a whole different thing. In my opinion, Catholic Church and Orthodox Church are really the only like real forms of Christianity. In my opinion, I still have respect for other sects of them, but I think if you think that Jesus is the Lord and Savior, then it only makes sense to be one of those two. And for them, they do not ostracize people at all. In fact, they do the exact opposite.
So you're saying the Catholic Church doesn't ostracize people? Have you not done any of your history?
Well, the Catholic Church as an organization does, but the Catholic religion itself does not. That doesn't preach that in the Bible.
Neither does Mormonism. It doesn't. Their religion doesn't ostracize.
They literally
people.
do.
Their church does, as you just said.
No, they talk. I'm not like an expert in Mormonism, but apparently the idea is.
Are you getting your information secondhand? Or are you understanding this like? Because I studied.
Are you Mormon? Are you Mormon or something?
No, I have a degree in religion. I have a degree in religion. I've studied religions. I know this. So don't tell me something I don't know when I know this for a fact.
So do you know for a fact that people get ostracized within Mormonism when they leave and they're not allowed to come back, even
by their specific church?
Okay, fine.
That's the same thing the Catholics do. Same things Christians do.
We're not here. I'm not.
But you're just trying to say that they were a cult because they ostracize people. So I'm saying if you're going to say that they're a cult, then you're going to say all religions are a cult because they ostracize people.
Are we talking about religion here? The reason that I brought up
because you brought it up.
Your justification. Hold on. I brought it up because your justification for the rational male being okay is that it saved your life. I'm saying that cults say the same exact fucking thing.
Why are you? So are you saying that this information that Rollo's saying is less authoritative because it's coming from him? But if it was coming from a psychologist or a priest or somebody that has a PhD on a plaque, you would take it better?
Yes, in the sense that if you are a PhD, you are beholden to, in order to maintain that PhD, you're beholden to your peers, in which you have to be peer reviewed before you put something out. It needs to be at the expense of your reputation. Rollo doesn't have that responsibility, and that's why his work is full of flaws.
So Ray Langton, who put out about female solipsism in her sexual solipsism peer-reviewed article. where Rollo got information about female solipsism.
That you can't provide the study to. I still
I
haven't
already
seen
put,
it.
I already, it's already, I already put it in the
Where
chat.
is it?
I had HUD's put it in the chat.
I don't see it. If you can bring it up, you can bring it up right now. I'd love to see it.
Again, all you got to do is look
I
up.
want to remind everybody, I am
all you got to
not
do is
using
look.
the appeal. Hold on. I'm not using the appeal to authority fallacy. Glenn is. He said he sent it.
Okay.
I don't know if he sent it in the chat or not. If you sent it in the chat, HUDs, if you could bring it up. I didn't see it.
So if somebody's using the same information that these, professional psychologists are using to present a similar case, you're going to say, oh, he doesn't have a PhD, so it's garbage. But
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm
then?
saying that's a factor to consider, but you can say the right thing without being a PhD for sure. I'm not a PhD in anything, but I still think that I'm correct in a lot of the things that I say. Similar to you.
Think you're
not a PhD. You're not a PhD in a lot of the assertions that you make. That doesn't necessarily invalidate what you have to say. It depends on what the facts and the evidence states, right? So sometimes PhDs will misconstrue.
You're appealing to a binary fallacy.
Hold on.
Binary fallacy.
Hold on. Sometimes a PhD will misconstrue or either deliberately or by accident the information ahead of them, in front of them, and therefore get it incorrect. I'm saying Rollo doesn't understand how to differentiate between good information that one PhD puts out versus bad information that another PhD puts out because he doesn't understand the scientific method.
And you do.
I understand it probably better than he does, but I'm also not a scientist. I'm not going out here making all these fundamental claims about female nature like he is. So I don't need to know the scientific method, but Rollo does based on what he talks about.
And he has produced evidence to support his claim. Again, if you don't, if he's put the article up there, you could read it yourself. Okay.
I'm still trying to look. Oh, okay. HUD's put it in the. All right, so I can bring it up now. Let's see.
It's quite a long article, but you could get a good read.
Well, we can kind of we can skim through. I just want to look because there are certain things that you need to look at when it comes to studies to see whether it's legitimate or not. So let's see here. Fine, I'll proceed with the sexual solid. Oh gosh, this is. Oh no, it's not too bad. So this is just an abstract.
You actually have. Yeah, that's the abstract. I paid for it. I printed it up. I don't have it with me, but that's what you could read. Whenever this is done, if you want to read it, you could read that.
Okay.
And I encourage all your readers
to also read the introduction or what?
No, you have to read the entirety of it. That's not. This is just one page. This is just a preview.
Okay. Well, let me just read what's here at the very least. The introduction. 2 solipsisms. Suppose I were the mediator and the Cartesian nightmare were the truth. The beings beneath my window in their hats and coats would be mere machines. Would I treat them as mere machines? No, I would call to them, laugh with them, talk with them just the same. I would treat these things as people, but my world could be, in one way, solipsistic. Suppose now the reverse. Suppose the Cartesian nightmare were false, but I believed it to be true, or I believed it true. The beings beneath my window would be people, but I would treat them as machines. Solipsism would be false, but I would act as though if it were true, and my world would be in a different way solipsistic. If both worlds are solipsistic, then one aspect of solipsism concerns the world itself, and another concerns an attitude to the world. Okay, well, obviously that's just an intro, but the idea is sexual solipsism. So can you give me, I'm going to trust that you're being good faith here. Can you give me the TLDR of what the entire thing is? Because obviously we can't go over this here.
So it gets into pornography and women in pornography and how they're being, what they're doing in it, and how women could be solipsistic and saying that's disgusting, and at the same time, solipsistic in the fact that like more women are involved in the business aspect of it.
Okay.
It gets a little, it dives more into that, you know. So it talks about how women can be solipsistic in their decision making and what benefits them, and how, again, like I don't want to misquote her inaccurately, because I reviewed it a few times myself. I don't have it verbatim, but it goes into women women's sexuality, solipsism, and how they could be solipsistic when it comes to their sexual nature.
Okay. And what about their stances on men? Are men solipsistic too, or no?
It didn't really get into that. It was talking about it from one perspective.
Because look, I talked about this in my debunk video. If the claim is to say that human beings inherently are solipsistic, both men and women, that is one entirely different thing. And it's not something that is a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, in the article itself, she talks about the Cartesian nightmare. The Cartesian nightmare, I assume, is the idea, because, you know, Rene Descartes came up with it, and that's that's why it's called the Cartesian nightmare. I assume the Cartesian nightmare is the idea that, like, oh, I'm the only person. I'm the only thinking agent that exists, and everything around me is an illusion. I assume that that's what the Cartesian nightmare is. That's what the claim is. That's what it infers, at least, or implies, I should say. So if that's the case, she's basically saying, as part of the human condition, everybody, that's the only thing that can be known is the self, and therefore we're all solipsistic. Then that's fine. Again, that's still a philosophical claim, still. But the issue is when I say, okay, when somebody makes the claim that women are solipsistic inherently, right? By virtue of being a woman, you are solipsistic. I'll just grant you that solipsism as a psychological disorder exists, right? I'll grant you that. The APA disagrees. I guess the DSM says that it exists. I'm sure psychologists, for the most part, is probably like split 50-50 whether they think it exists or not. Fine, I'll give you that. All right. So if that's the case, then what is it about solipsism that is innate to female nature and not innate to male nature? That's the issue that I have.
And because of that, you're saying it's trash.
Now, I'm saying that Rollo has a lot to prove, and it's pure conjecture by saying that women are inherently solipsistic while men are not. That is pure conjecture, and that itself is based on nothing.
Again, I just provided you an article that talks about female.
Yeah, and I couldn't even fucking read it, bro.
Well, okay, you could do your due diligence and do what I did and pay for it.
You said that you have it, right? You paid for it. Can you bring it up?
I paid for it. I can't
computer.
bring. No, I'm not. I'm on my phone.
Okay.
I told you I'm traveling right now, so I'm on my phone.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. The burden of proof is on the person that's making
it's not on, actually. The burden of proof is on the accuser.
No,
you're the one that's
exactly.
accusing.
You're accusing women of
no. You're accusing him of his work to being
That's not how
trash and poison. Are you saying you're not accusing? Stop. You're saying that you're trying to tell me you did not accuse his work of being trash and dangerous for men.
It is dangerous.
And you're saying that you don't have to prove it?
I did prove
it. You did not prove it. You did not prove it.
I proved. Hold on.
Who is his work? Who is his work did damage to? What man can you prove that his work did damage to?
All men, because they actually
all men.
Now that women. Hold on.
All men. All men. So you're saying me too?
Can I finish what I'm about to say?
Yeah. Tell me how I've been damaged, please.
Because you think that women are inherently solipsistic now.
So how that makes
that makes you look at half of all people differently and makes you look at them as if they are beneath you.
Wait.
Do you think that all women are inherently Do you think that all women are inherently selfish?
I think that all women can be inherently selfish.
Okay, what about men?
I think that men are more selfless than selfish.
Okay, so you think that is a value-based claim to say that men are more selfless, women are more selfish. you are going to automatically look down on women if you think that they are more self-absorbed than men are. And that is the exact thing that you come away from the rational male with, and you think that
where do you get off of that? Because you're making it black and white. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I could see that
Rollo
all women
makes it
could
black
be,
and white. I don't know your personal opinions. I'm just talking about Rollo.
You just try to speak. You just try to speak for me. So allow me to speak for me. All right.
Okay,
I believe that all women are capable of being solipsistic, and I think it's an innate nature that they could act on it at any given time they choose they want. Just because.
What about for men?
I think that men can. I think men could be solipsistic if they wanted to be. But I think innately we have shown that over history that men are more selfless and sacrificing than women are.
Man, that is a big claim, and this is exactly why I say that Rollo.
How is it a big claim?
That's a value-based claim.
How is it a big claim? It's not you're saying it's not historical factual?
That's definitely not factual.
Really? It's not factual.
Yeah.
So you're saying more men have not died
inherently more selfless than women?
Yes. When it comes to their lives. Absolutely.
And you say there's not, and you learn this from the rational male, and you say that there's not a problem with the rational male, that you and many other men come away from the book. Hold on. You and many other men come away from the book that men are selfless and women are selfish.
How many men?
You don't see a problem with that.
How many women died during World War I? Fighting.
0.
0
women enlisted.
Okay. How many women died in World War II fighting?
0, because they weren't enlisted. But how many women ended up getting raped during World War II and died, like in the rape of Nanking? Right? You're just making a value statement of you just think
I'm saying that men have went and died for the protection of their country that inhabits women that they're not even their spouse for the sake of their freedom. Okay? That right there proves that they were more selfless, because even now women won't do that.
You think maybe that has something to do with the fact that women are physically inferior to men when it comes to things like combat? Or do you think it's because women are inherently selfish and therefore none of them want to enlist?
I think it's a combination of both. It can't be both? Why can't it not be both?
It can be both, for sure, but I disagree with the part that men are inherently selfless while women are inherently selfish. And this is the exact problem that I have with the rational male, is guys, perfectly reasonable, good people like yourself, come to the conclusion like this, and then you start to say just completely reprehensible things such as that. That is the danger of the rational male.
How am I living today worse off than me almost dying 3 years ago?
I mean, are we just going to have emotional arguments and that's it?
And I'm just asking you. It's a factual statement. That's exactly what was going to take place.
I'd answer it the same way that I would answer somebody who justifies that to be in a cult, because that's the exact answer a cult member would give.
It's not.
I would say, look, I'm happy. Hold on. I would tell you what I would tell a cult member, and by proxy, what I would tell you. I'm happy that you found something that you believe that saved your life. That being said, that doesn't necessarily make the thing that you think saved your life okay. It can still have flaws in it, and I can still be critical of it because it's wrong.
Absolutely.
And you could have found something else that would have done that. That's not exclusively what that is.
You're right.
If it helped,
what I'm saying, it helps.
Something wrong with the text itself.
It's not. Nothing's perfect. No, I'm not saying his work is perfect. There's a lot of questions that I would love to ask him in a one-on-one conversation. Well, there's a lot of things that, as you mentioned, conspiracy theory, that some of the stuff I'm confused by. I don't understand it like 100%. But I believe you even said that you agree with his work up to 60%, maybe 70%. Mm-hmm. That 60 to 70% could be just enough to save someone's life, to help someone get over depression, or help someone see that there is still, because there's guys that are 65 years old that get divorced and they've put 40 years into their marriage and everything they had, and then their marriage is just gone. wife gone, no kids. Okay, they lost everything they invested. They did the happy wife, happy life thing. Right? Because that's what they were taught. That's what they were told to do. That they said that was right. And then now they're like, what do I do? They find this work and they're like, okay, I see where I made mistakes. I see now where I should have been different. I see how I could have did things differently. Now I see that I have there's still hope. There's still a life worth living. May not agree with everything that he says. But if what the percentage that you say, if it's you're even saying that you're giving him more than 50% that it's good. That 50% that you agree with is good enough to help people not delete themselves.
So the reason that I agree, the reason that I agree with the 60% or whatever, it's because he studied a lot of the pickup artist community and he happens to get some things correct, right? But it's a similar thing. It's kind of like if you say, oh, well, I agree, let's say Christians and Muslims, right? In terms of a lot of the different things, I mean, they're both Abrahamic religions. They probably agree on like 60% of things. But the 40% that they disagree on is very important shit that they disagree on, which makes a huge difference between the two religions, right?
Actually,
and so for example, hold on. For example, a big difference that they disagree on is, who is the prophet, right? So, or just the idea of Jesus, right? So Islam believes that Jesus was a great prophet, not God. Christianity believes that Jesus was, God himself, the Son of God, right? So that's sort of like their epistemic foundation of their entire religion. And for Rollo, an epistemic foundation for his entire book is female solipsism, which I definitively disagree with.
So what you're telling me, what you need is if I found a psychologist that read Rollo's work for you and said that they agreed with it, then you're going to be okay with it? A clinical degreed psychologist, a doctorate, whatever you want to call them.
Depends on the reasons, because for every psychologist you can find that would agree with Rollo's work. I can name for you right now a definitive one. Hold on. I can name you psychologists who disagree with it. Jeffrey Miller, for example, the author of Mate, along with Tucker Max, thinks Rollo is a massive piece of shit and he hates his work, right? So you could offer one person, I could offer another.
So then there really is no winning this argument. Because you're already set in your stone. Because I brought up evidence that you said there's no
way for you to win the argument because you're wrong.
There's no way for you to win the argument. You're wrong.
I've put my assertion. I've literally said I've proven.
And I debunked it. I debunked. You said
what? What did you debunk? Go ahead.
You said solipsism doesn't exist.
No,
it's all psychological.
No.
You said it's all psychological. You said it's not even the DSMR or the DSM.
Okay,
I proved you wrong there.
That part was correct.
That proved you wrong.
Fine.
So then that connects
that's
the dots.
Not my assertion. My assertion is not to say that solipsism.
Your assertion is that his work is trash. That's your assertion. Your assertion is that his work is trash.
You don't understand my argument. Tell me what I believe about solipsism. Go.
Well, one, I'm gonna say what your argument was. You said that this work was trash, and that men were better off not reading it, and you have not proven how men are better off not reading it.
I have proven it because I just proved,
you haven't.
Hold on, really quickly.
What evidence have you produced? What evidence did you produce?
What evidence did you produce? I'll tell you. Can I tell you? The evidence that I produced is that good men like yourself, good men that read the Rational Male, come away from the Rational Male thinking that men are inherently selfless and women are inherently selfish.
What has proven that wrong? What wrong does that do? What wrong does that do?
What wrong does it do to think that women are inherently selfish while men aren't? I wonder how you might start looking at women. That would actually probably explain a lot of the red pill and a lot of the hate that guys have in the red pill rage for women, if they think that women are inherently selfish while men are not. So to say that I didn't debunk that, I did. There it is.
No, because you're not proving how that makes me worse off.
I guess that's just a value statement at that point.
How does it make me work
I can't
off?
prove something according to my world, in my worldview.
According to your worldview. According to your worldview.
And most people, right?
No.
Selfish
you can't
people
speak for
suck.
most.
Selfish people are awesome.
You can't speak for most
right?
people. You can't speak for most people, can you?
No. Can you?
Okay, then don't say most people.
You think? Hold on. Let me ask you this: do you think most people would agree with the assertion that selfishness is inherently that only women are selfish and that men are selfless? Do you think most people would agree with that?
I would say that most people would agree when it comes to a life and death situation that women innately are more selfish in protecting their lives than protecting a man's life. Yes.
And that's based off of psychological research, apparently.
I mean, you could you don't need psychological research to look at history. Just look at history, dude. Do you not give credit to anything in history? It's a self-interest.
What are you talking about? I covered history sometimes on my channel too, especially as it relates to philosophy. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about there.
So this is where I'm saying you haven't proved anything, because you still haven't proved how. You haven't given me not one example that somebody that's read Rollo's work that's now worse off, that doesn't have good relationships, that treats women like trash. You haven't shown me one person.
Myron Gaines. You don't think he treats women like trash? No.
I think it's a show performance. Personally, I think it's a show performance. I think he knows what people like. I think he knows what people like to see. Some of the
girls that he tried to prey upon, and he worships Rollo basically. So yeah, him reading The Rational Male made him a worse person to be the type of person to be like, oh well, I'm a high value guy, so if you want to get on my show, you have to have sex with me first. So if you're just saying anecdotally, did The Rational Male make somebody do something pretty shitty? There's an example right there.
Myron Gaines. You're only going off of what you see on camera, right?
I don't know. I mean, in the sense of like, I can only go off what I see on camera in my discussion with you. I talked to Anna Quinn and she showed all the receipts of everything that happened. And this stuff has happened multiple times. And he's like, yes, Rational Male, the Godfather.
So you're
and
saying
there's guys, hold on. There's guys that I work with that, the red pill fuck their minds up, and then I have to
haven't those allegations been proven false?
No, the Anna Quinn thing. It's literally Myron even admitted that's what he did.
I haven't seen that. I need evidence of that, but I'll take your word for it.
It's on my channel, bro.
I think they did a 6-hour show talking about it, but I didn't watch it. But I'll have to look it up. But again, so you're saying, to your point out, you're saying just because Myron Gaines.
You just asked me to give you an example of somebody who did something shitty based on what they learned in The Rational Male, or
are you saying it's because one of them? You're saying because he read The Rational Male. That's what I'm saying. You're saying because he read The Rational Male, he was shitty.
No, but that definitely contributes.
No. But the entire philosophy. You're saying no. Stop. You're saying because I'm asking you, because he read The Rational Male, he acted this way, all of a sudden.
There's no way I could ever know that.
Exactly. So why are you going to even say him?
It's congruent. Hold on. It's congruent with what
you can't use him unless you have something to contrast. Like Myron Gaines acted this way before The Rational Male, and now acts this way after The Rational Male. So you have no evidence to even support that because Myron Gaines read The Rational Male, he is now a shitty person.
The evidence that I have is that everything that Myron did is congruent with what.
Again, you have nothing to contrast it. You have nothing to contrast it.
Well, I'm sorry.
You're saying because Myron Gaines read The Rational Male, he's a shitty person. Couldn't he have been a shitty person from the beginning?
You either you or I broke up there, but yeah. Can the rest of the chat see me, or is it me that broke up, or Glenn? Hello? Chat, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here.
Glenn
You there?
disconnected. Okay.
My bad. I'm here.
Okay.
Couldn't Myron Gaines been a shitty person before he read The Rational Mill?
Probably.
Okay, so I'm not saying he's a
So you're
shitty
saying
person. I'm
Myron
just going.
Gaines is a shitty person?
I'm going off of. I'm just using what you're saying. I don't know Myron
Sure.
Gaines personally. I can't speak on if he's a shitty person or not. Do I think that a lot of his show is for show? Sure. I think a lot of what the theatrics is part of the show. It's kind of what keeps people entertained. It's what guys want to see. Okay, they want to see this accountability, revenge. It's like revenge porn for guys. You know.
I agree.
So again, you can't prove that because Myron Gaines read The Rational Mill, he's a shitty person.
Yeah, that's one anecdote. I can never prove that, but I could probably.
Okay, so then when you make
the
when
own personal story, right? If we're talking about anecdotes, can I give
when you make the assertion that guys are worse off and they treat women poorly or they view women poorly because of this, and then you point to Myron Gaines when you have nothing to bro, you're just blowing smoke out your ass.
How?
Because you have no
example.
You have no evidence. You have no evidence. I asked you for evidence.
On my channel. The evidence.
I asked you for evidence.
You could watch it after this. The whole Anna Quinn thing happened. Myron said that
you have
happened.
No. Again, you're telling me you have proof that Myron Gaines read The Rational Mill and is now a shitty person because he read The Rational Mill.
All of the shitty things that that Fresh and Fit talks about on their show, all of the bad things that they have some good parts of their show. All the bad things are directly tied to The Rational Mill. Almost all of them. So the things that he did there with the whole high value man shit, it's completely congruent with what they
have you read the article? Have you read the article on The Rational Mill called The Safety Net? Can you pull that up for me?
Sure. Can I just Google it? Just Rational Mill Safety Net.
Yeah.
Is it called Confidence and the Safety Net?
Yes.
Okay. Let me share this here. And just try not to get distracted by how sexy this Skeletor-looking man looks here. All right. So where do I go under?
Scroll down to the comments.
Okay. This is a bunch of videos on. Oh, whoops. This?
Click on the comments.
Oh, wait, it says, what the hell? Did I just get hacked? What just happened?
I think your page is still loading up.
Okay. Well, while it's loading, I have to pee, so you can go ahead and talk to chat, do whatever. I'll be right back.
How you guys doing? You guys doing all right? I don't know if PP's sitting down. I mean, he might. Oh, that'd be interesting. I wouldn't want to walk into a bathroom and see his pants all the way down. You know, that's just me. I just wouldn't. That wouldn't be a good look. You know, it's funny because his problem with all this, in my opinion, is that he can't address the data.
All right, I'm back.
You know,
Um,
are you ready to
all right, so
scroll
where do
down?
we? Yeah.
Some of the guys in the chat think you pee with your pants all the way down, or you sit on the toilet. I
How
just
did
said I
they
didn't
know
know.
that?
I don't know. I just said I didn't know. I just was like, hey, I don't know. I wouldn't want to find out.
I pull my pants down, sit on the toilet, and then I aim my dick toward my mouth. And then as
Oh,
I'm swallowing it, I swallow all of it, hold it in my mouth, and then I spit it out. That's how I pee.
that's a good mouthwash, I guess. To clean all the
Yeah,
bacteria out
man.
or something.
Hey, it's sterile, Got to try it. Highly suggest to the chat. I don't see anything here other than I'm on the whole page. Maybe the comment section's higher.
It might be. Let's see.
Could you tell me like what? Yeah, I
No,
don't see.
you're not on the article. You're in the interview.
Oh yeah. Well, oh my bad. Okay, I guess I pressed something by accident. Okay, here we
There
go.
you go.
So you want me to go
Scroll
down to
down.
the comments?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a lot of comments here. Okay, here we go. To start from the top or what? You want me to look for a
Yeah.
specific one?
No, start reading them.
Okay. I have a medical doctorate and thought I understood human nature well, but Rollo's ideas have blown me away. Incredibly insightful. I'm lucky to have a good marriage despite just recently finding his work, but they have shed light on past mistakes and helped me make decisions. I'm quite grateful for his work. Should
Scroll
I
down.
comment on that or what?
No, just keep on reading.
Okay. Rollo's work has changed my life and encourages me to make the effort to make it even better. The red pill brought me back to, okay, so I'm guessing your whole thing is like, oh, look at how many lives this has changed, right?
There's over
So let me-
1,100. There's over 1,100 people.
Let me ask you this.
And then there's mothers.
Oh,
There's
whoops.
mothers that have written him letters thanking him for his work. And you're telling me that his work is trash. When
It is
I'm just
trash.
proving your opinion. It's your opinion.
Yeah.
Because I'm providing you
course.
1,100 testimonials of people saying, thank you. Your work has helped me. Your work has saved my marriage. Your work has saved my son. And you're telling me it's trash.
It is trash, yeah.
You can't say
It's
that.
trash. I mean, yes, I can. Of course I can.
You
I
can't
could
say that when
the same way. Hold on, I could say that the same way that a cult is trash, despite the fact that the people in the cult think the cult is great.
so technically there's no evidence that would be sufficient enough for you to retract that statement. And that's fine. But what I'm saying is when you're saying something's trash and you don't have any evidence to support that it's saying that it's trash, other than your opinion, because all you gave was an opinion. You believe that men are going to think this way.
Yes. My opinion
your opinion.
is... Hold on,
Your
hold on.
opinion.
Here's my opinion.
Your opinion
I'll give you my
is.
opinion. It is my opinion. I'll give you my opinion. I'll tell you my opinion. My opinion is that a book that makes you come away with thinking that women are inherently selfish, women are inherently selfless, which is something that Glenn acknowledged a while ago that he believes in. A good man like Glenn can believe in something terrible like that, and therefore that book is trash. Because it would be different, Glenn, if you were like some.
You know what I also
scum
believe?
Of the earth.
You know,
you're not. You're not.
You know what I also believe? You know what I also? Let me tell you what I also believe.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
What I also believe is that I don't believe anybody. I'm always a person that trusts but verify. You could tell me something and I don't believe you for shit until I verify it. I don't trust anybody.
So how have you
does that make me a very bad person because I don't trust anybody?
No, my entire point is I'm saying you're probably a good person, but you still believe in this bullshit. That's all.
No, I believe that
which is
bullshit,
bad. It can turn
as
good
you call.
People,
I believe that this what you call bullshit has enough credit to it that you may not take everything with it. And there's, like I said, I have questions about some of it. Okay, but what you call bullshit has literally helped save men's lives in the positive. Help men. Maybe I'm not saying Rollo has saved men's lives. I'm saying the work that he's produced has helped men make a different choice than what they were already planning on making. And for that means this book is beneficial, that this book has helped. And if you
So
don't
let me
have
ask you
any
this.
other body of work, if you don't have another body of work to contrast against it, because I would love for you to have another body of work. I can't wait for you to produce something, so I can read it.
Beyond the Red Pill. Beyond the Red Pill. It's coming out later this year.
Okay, I would love to read it. But like again, I had people even in my comments when I posted the video that even reached out to you that said, "Hey, tell me how his work is trash."
To reach out to me? Oh shit, Glenn, I think you yeah, see, when this happens, I can't tell if I'm the one that disconnects or he does. So chat, you have to tell me who got disconnected here. I guess it was Glenn. No, that's
sorry.
all right,
The internet is weak over here at this hotel.
I think the gynocentric social order is hacking your internet, bro.
Hey, you know what? They might. They might. But here's the thing.
Okay,
This is what I'm going to get to. I'm going to end here, and you can say whatever you need to say. Okay.
All right.
Do I think? This is my opinion. All right. I don't know you from Adam. All right. Really don't. But I think you are a clout chaser. All right. You probably were a fanboy of Rollo's. You probably were a fan. And because you didn't get the attention that you wanted from him, you got upset. You attacked Donovan Sharp. You attacked Myron Gaines. You're attacking Rollo Tomassi. All right? And these are all people that have created some bodies of work that are producing something. And you haven't produced anything. And you're trying to create a name for yourself by attacking them. And if that's what you want to do.
Who attacked who first? Did Rollo attack me first or did I attack Rollo first?
I don't know. All I see is that you have done 21 plus videos attacking him, and I don't think he's made a video attacking you personally at all.
Yes,
he may have mentioned you. May have mentioned you in the video.
Has Rollo Tomassi ever attacked me personally in any way?
Made a whole video for you?
He made 2 entire streams about me, bro. Yeah.
About you? About you specifically? Said the whole 2 streams
about me and Coach Whitepill. So, and then another
about
one
people,
me,
about detractors.
Yeah. No,
about
he literally made a video. I never said anything bad about him on my channel ever. And then he made a stream trashing the White Pill and then us giving a review of his book. And it was a pretty positive review for the most part. It wasn't that bad. And Rollo also says this. Look, he says that because I tell people that the Rational Male book is trash, that means that I'm leading guys to kill themselves. Do you agree with that statement? That I'm leading men to suicide by saying that his book is trash?
Personally? I think you are stating things that you don't know. And because your own opinion of it, you could be misleading men to not finding help or finding work that other men have found that has benefited them, that has saved them from going down a very dark road. And yes, at that point, you are contributing, you're deterring men from finding information that could save their lives.
So that's just kind of a roundabout way of saying, yes, you agree with Rollo that me critiquing the Rational Male results in men dying. Not
critiquing it. You could critique it. You're calling it trash. You're telling men that they shouldn't even read it.
Yes, they should not read it.
I would tell men, you know what? I didn't like it, but you should read it. You should read it and see what you take out of it. See what information.
I invite everybody. No. So I invite everybody.
But when you tell,
but you make sure that you have all the information set first.
But also, right? But that's not what you said in your videos before. You said that this is completely trash. You need
to understand what solipsism is first before you go.
And so do you,
though. Understand how egregious that claim is to say that women are solipsistic while men are not.
And you need to understand that there's actually it's in the DMR or the DM, the 5th edition.
Yeah. And where in the DSM does it say? Hold on. Where in the DSM does it say that it's something exclusive to women and not to men?
How about you read the DSM and find out?
Burden of proof is on you to prove that, man.
I proved that it's
null hypothesis.
I proved that you said that it's not even a psychological issue. And I proved that it is.
It's not. It's not.
It's not to who? The APA?
Yes.
Okay, so the
And many
APA
psychologists as well.
are we gonna but the DMR 5th edition that psychologists use?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying is that trash?
They use that as a way to try to diagnose certain conditions.
Yeah, so if it's if it's something that they could diagnose, and just because the APA doesn't recognize it, you're trying to say that it's trash? Is the DMR5 trash?
Well, look, there's two separate arguments going on here. Is solipsistic personality disorder a psychological disorder, right? So that's one thing. Now, I could grant you that. I don't think that it is, but let's just say that it is. I trust the APA. The APA says that it isn't. The DSM says that it is. Fine. I'll give you that. I'll say, look, it exists. Fine. My issue is when you say that solipsism, that psychological disorder, let's just say that it exists, even though I don't think it does. Let's just say that it is a psychological disorder, that is something that is exclusively tied to women, and not just some women. How can you say, women, right?
How are you going to say that you don't believe that's a disorder, but then you say that earlier you said it's not even in the DMR or the DSM, but then I proved to you that it's in the DSM, that it is a disorder. But you're trying to say, well, you don't believe it's a disorder. Which one is it? You needed evidence to prove that it was a disorder. I proved that it's a disorder, and then now you're trying to still reject it?
I literally just told you. I don't know if you listened to what I said. I will grant you that point. That fine. Look, I personally still don't think it's a disorder, a psychological disorder, because the APA says that it isn't. And philosophically, it doesn't make any sense. You can't.
Do you believe that there's toxic masculinity?
Yes, but not in the way that people talk about it. And I do think that toxic femininity exists as well.
I don't believe that neither exists.
That's fine. You could just say that it's all just toxic. That's fine.
I think that there's toxic people. I don't think masculinity in itself is toxic. I don't think femininity in itself is toxic.
I literally gave you this point. I said, look, I still personally don't think that it exists, but I will grant you, just for the sake of argument, that it exists. I refer to the APA, or I defer to the APA, you defer to the DSM. That's fine. Okay? So I'll give you that, right? That's not what we're arguing here. We're arguing that the claim that solipsistic personality disorder is something that is inherent to female nature and something that is foreign to men. That is something that I completely disagree with. That is something that Rollo asserts in his book, and it's pure conjecture, and that's based on nothing. And I haven't seen the part of the DSM, but I will be willing to stake my life.
You're saying because of this book is trash, but then I showed you 1,100 comments of people, including myself.
Please answer my question. Please answer my statement.
I will. Because you're saying because of this, because of your belief that solipsism is not innately in the women, and because of that, it makes men look at women differently or negatively.
Yep.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion. Okay, let's get to that fact. That's not a fact. That's your opinion.
Well, factually, don't you think that most people will look down on people that they think are selfish?
No, it depends on the person. It's a personal.
If I called you selfish right now, is that an insult? Yes or no?
I would take it as a positive. Yes, I am selfish. I'm selfish to the things that I want to do. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Look, if you're taking it from like an Ayn Randian objectivist standpoint, like virtue of selfishness type thing, that's one thing. There's no fucking way that Rollo's taking it from that standpoint.
Again, are you speaking for Rollo now? Are you his spokesman?
Well, I'm just going based on what he said in his book.
Again,
he said this is why, because like, look.
See, this is the problem. You're speaking for somebody. You're speaking for him now. When you make statements like that, I don't speak for him. I don't speak for anybody but me.
Are you saying you're solipsistic then? Because I said, "Are you selfish?" And you said, "Oh, I take that as a compliment." I am selfish. Here's why. Does that make you solipsistic? Yes or no?
Solipsistic has nothing to do with selfishness. It has to do. Solipsistic is self-interest. Why don't you look it up?
What is the difference? Self-interest versus selfishness? It's like tomato.
Yes. No, self-interest is different than selfishness. Self-preservation is self-interest.
Yeah.
Selfishness is like, I'm going to make sure that I beat up, if there's a loaf of bread left and it's between me and you, and I already ate, I'm just gonna kick your ass and take the bread, regardless if I already ate or not. That's selfish.
Yeah, and you say that women will do that, right?
No, I said their self-interest. They're gonna
No,
think
but in
about
that situation, women would do it because they only care about their primary focus is their own survival.
Well, they can't kick a guy's ass typically, but so yeah, that's the thing. I don't think they would actually win that fight.
Well,
But what I'm saying,
let's say it was like a Brienne of Tarth type lady that could beat up a small diminutive man, but it's in her nature.
I mean,
to
that's
just
a
take it,
real
right?
hypothetical. That's a long stretch there, bud.
It's a hypothetical you brought up, bro.
I'm saying that there's a difference
I'm just
between
playing off your
selfishness.
hypothetical.
There's selfishness is different than self-interest. How about you look that up?
Selfishness versus self-interest. We're talking
Yes.
about solipsism, right? Again,
Yes, and I'm saying
tomato.
solipsism,
This is semantics.
solipsism is not selfishness. It's self-interest. Look it up and see the difference.
What?
Why don't you want to look it up?
What do you fine? What do you want me to look up? Self-interest versus selfishness?
Yes.
This is we're just playing a freaking semantics game. What does this prove? What's the point of this?
Because you're saying that there's selfishness, and it's not selfish. There's self-interest. They're going to think about their interest first.
God, I can't. This is so dumb. But I'll just show you what I found. I'm trying to save you from yourself here because this is just a stupid argument. But so I'll just show you the first thing that came up. In essence, selfishness involves satisfying your own needs at the expense of others. Healthy, keyword healthy, self-interest is simply taking care of yourself, but not at the expense of others. So if you're making the distinction, remember it says healthy here, right? But they said healthy for a reason, because if you don't put the adjective healthy there, the implication is if you just say self-interest on your own, it's going to be synonymous with selfish. Therefore, that's why the word healthy is here.
Yes. So again, there's a difference, right? Selfishness is an unhealthy version, right, of self-interest.
No. They're both self-interest and selfishness are synonymous based on what I just showed there. And that's why they had to make the distinction between healthy. So you could say healthy selfishness, for example, is
no self-interest is a healthy is not going to use someone else's expense.
I don't want to have a dictionary fight with you. Who cares about this? The entire
because words matter. Words matter.
Yeah, of course words matter.
Okay, so then we need to have.
That's why I'm saying you calling women inherently solipsistic is a problem, because there's
it means that they're inherently going to be involved in their own self-interest. Their self-interest is going to be primary. That's what they want to focus on first. That's going to be what their thing is. I'm not saying men can't be. Men have been, but again, when it comes to life or death situations, men shown to not be selfish or act on their self-interest. The Las Vegas shooter is an example. 77 men dying trying to protect women and children that they're not even related to.
And that's great. But what about the tens of thousands of other men that just fled for the hills? Are they innately selfless too?
They acted on their interest. They didn't. What about the men that go to war that protect this country from women?
They're amazing.
Again, are they acting on their self-interest? No, they're not. All the guys that got drafted.
That's fine.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
They
the
have
guys
a
that get
highest
drafted.
value.
No, the guys that getting drafted. You really think that everybody? You think that everybody that went in the military that died in a war went there willingly? No, they were drafted. They were told they had to go. No, not even most did. Okay.
Most men during World War II wanted to conscript and go to war. Yes or no?
Not most men.
Or how many? Were there more that wanted to go there, or more that went against their will?
I think that there was, my personal opinion from what I've read, more went against their will.
Okay, that's just demonstrably false, but okay.
Okay, can you support that?
Yeah, I'm
Now,
pretty sure
after Pearl Harbor, yes, there was a change in men. They wanted to go over there more. Yes,
yeah,
I would
that's
say
like the
after
whole
Pearl
point.
Harbor.
That's when this war started. So yeah.
The war did not start at Pearl Harbor, dude. We were
With the Japanese, yeah.
with the Japanese, but we were involved way earlier than that.
Not directly, not boots on the ground type shit.
No, but we were involved way earlier than that. People were against it. Men didn't want nothing to do with it. Okay, there were people not
they
wanting.
wanted nothing to do with it, and then Pearl Harbor happened, and then they had the self interest of saying, "Hey, I want to go protect my country because that makes me feel like a good American, and I want to go. I'm willing to go sacrifice myself." That's still them acting in self interest. It's not a bad thing at all. It's still a very.
It's not that was not acting in self interest. That was acting to protect this nation.
And hold on, you would want to protect your nation. Why? Because it's your nation, right?
Because of the people
so you
that
have
live
a personal
there.
affinity to it, so you have an emotional attachment to it, and then therefore you want to go do it. That's still a self-interest. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm saying it's bad to say that women fundamentally lack the capability to be or fundamentally
it's not even, it doesn't even say fundamentally lack the capability. He's saying when given the option, when between two choices, they're going to be inclined to choose this over this more often than not.
While men aren't. Well, men's natural inclination is to be selfless. Women's natural inclination is to be self-interested. I'll put it in your terms.
And we could even say men are not even selfless. We could just say that they're not as interested in self.
What are you basing that off of? Like,
well, because we're not going to use the word selfless. We're going to say the definition is solid system is self-interest. So that means that women are innately going to act in their self-interest, and men will not act in their self-interest more often than not. So
men are just these super giga heroes, while women are just these villains.
Nobody's saying that either.
How can you?
Who's a villain?
Is that a ridiculous? Hold on. Is that a ridiculous conclusion to come to?
What makes somebody acting in their own self-interest a villain?
Because it's at the expense of other people.
No, actually, if you look at it, it says not at the expense of the other people.
Oh my God, that's when it said healthy self-interest. When you say self-interest on its own in a vacuum, that means that you have disregard for other people around you. Therefore, it's just you.
Is that what the definition of self-interest is?
No. That's the implication, and that's
is that the definition of self-interest?
That is what Rollo says. That is what.
Is that I'm asking you? Is that the definition of self-interest?
Oh my God, what are we having, like a dictionary fight here, bro? Can we actually talk about the rational male? Are we talking about the rational male or a dictionary? Every time I have you backed in a corner, you're like, "Oh, well,
bro, you don't have me backed in the corner."
Yeah, sure I don't, bro. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're the one that still hasn't proved anything.
I think your innate solipsistic nature is guarding you from the truth right now, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, I think your ego is keeping you from reality.
So wait, so my ego keep me from reality. That would make me self-interested then, right?
Yeah. So you're acting.
That would make me solipsistic.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
You're acting. Who said men can't be? Where did Rollo ever say men cannot act solipsistic?
Okay, no, that's true, right? But is it innately in my nature?
I don't know. Typically, we know that it's innately in women's nature. We have seen it. There's enough evidence to support that.
Okay, so fine. There's evidence here that I'm innately solipsistic as well, because you just said.
Are you innately solipsistic, or are you choosing to be solipsistic?
So men have the ability to choose to be solipsistic, but women don't, because that's just who they are, right?
You know what self-interest is? One personal interest or advantage, especially when pursued without the regards of others. The assumption of the individual primarily motivated by self.
Dude, you just debunked yourself. Read that again.
No, I'm still reading it. Can I finish reading it?
Read it from the top, bro. Come on.
I will read it from the top.
Can you read it again?
I will. One's personal interest or advantage, especially pursued with or without the regards of others. The assumption.
Wait,
that the
wait.
individual-
You just changed that. You said without.
I was
before.
reading. I'm reading it right here. Okay. Can I finish?
Can I Google it? Where is it? What,
I'm
you just
on
Google
dictionary.com.
self-interest or
I'm
what?
on dictionary.com.
Okay.
You could Google it. If you want to Google it, Google it.
Okay. Oh, you can continue. Just keep reading it. What is it? Self-interest or selfishness that you looked up? I can't believe we're having a dictionary fight.
Interest.
Dude, you just changed it. You literally.
Dude, I'm not even.
That is such a bad thing that you just did there.
I'm not on Google. I'm on dictionary.com. I'm on dictionary.com.
Guys, you caught it right here. Holy shit! You
What
know
did I?
you just
What'd you
did that
catch?
too, Glenn. That is such bad faith.
I'm on dictionary.com.
Yeah, so am I. The first time you said with disregard for others, and then I asked you to read again, and then you said with or without.
And did
because
you keep on
you knew that
down?
you would just end up debunking yourself if you did that. I'm gonna read it right here. You guys can replay the stream if you want. I cannot believe you just did that, Glenn. Jesus. I'll read it for you here. Regard for one's own self interest or advantage, especially with disregard for others, right? That's what you said the first time. Then I asked you to reread it. And then the next time I asked you to reread it, you said regard for one's own interest or advantage. And then you said especially with or without.
And then I scrolled down.
For others.
And I scrolled down. And I continue reading. And then here's another one.
Unbelievable.
Read this one. Read this one.
I can't see it. Or let me bring it up again. It's more the intention, Glenn. You didn't have to
read this one, bro.
Can you acknowledge what you just did was wrong, though? Yes or no?
I was reading it, and as I was scrolling down, I was reading it across the way I saw it.
Remember at the beginning, you accused me of being deceptive? What was that you just did there?
I was reading it as I was seeing it, as I was scrolling.
That's unbelievable. You know what you did was fucked up, too. Or deceptive, at the very least.
A concern of one's own advantage and the concern of one's own advantage and well-being. One's own self-interest or advantage.
Where does it say that on here?
I'm on the Webster now.
Okay. So I guess we're just doing all these dictionaries and stuff. Well, what is the point?
Because you're saying that there's not a difference between selfishness and self-interest. And I'm saying there is a difference.
Read your definition again. I don't even know if I can trust you anymore after you just try to pull what you just pulled.
Read that. It's right there.
I don't know if I can see it. Let me try. Hold on. Move it to the... It's kind of cut off. Yeah, there you go. Okay. A concern for one's own advantage and well-being and one's own interest or advantage. Okay. So
how is that in regards of over other people? How's that a negative? How's that negative?
Bring that back up again.
How is this saying that women are negative?
A concern for one's own advantage and well-being, one's own self. I don't think self-interest is a inherently a bad thing.
But that's what solipsism means.
Hold on. I was making the argument before that you can make a case that selfishness is okay. That's the case that Ayn Rand made, for example, in her book, The Virtue of Selfishness.
But again,
you're the one that's trying to make a difference between selfishness and self-interest.
Solipsism is not selfishness, is what I'm saying. Solipsism is self-interest. So I can see how selfishness could be negative, as you said, but self-interest is not negative. So even in Rollo's work, he's not negative,
dude. I'm literally like all about self-improvement. Self-improvement is a form of self-interest, and it's a form of selfishness too.
He's not even saying women are in a negative. I don't know how you could take what he's saying negatively, is what I'm saying. Saying that but women are innately self-interested in themselves.
How about this? Because this is tangentially related. Women love opportunistically, men love idealistically.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is, and again, you said before, okay, wait, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Did you say that? Oh, well, if you only have a problem with solipsism, then like what's the issue? I think you said something like that, right?
No, I said if your issue with him in solipsism is what you're basing saying that this book is trash off of. Like I'm saying, like you're picking one thing out of it, and you're saying, oh, because of this is trash. And I'm saying that's what I have a problem with. Like it's like, how are you gonna say like because you're saying that because of this, and you're saying the way that you believe it makes men view women, that it's poison and this, that, and the other. Now, could you just have a negative view or a wrong view, an incorrect view of what he's referring to? And that you could be taking it wrong. Because when I've read it, I never looked at it as, oh, well, all women are garbage, all women are trash, all women are evil, all women are just going to take advantage of men, and blah, blah, blah. They're just going to screw us men over. And I never read it, and I never got that information from it. I looked at it as, this is how I processed it. Okay, hypergamy. All women are hypergamous, right? Okay. Oh, I could see that. Yeah. I could see that they would want to get with the best guy that has the best opportunity that could provide, a good life for them in the long run. I could totally see that. How
I
can
think
you?
men are hypergamous too, by the way, but we can get into that in a second. One of the reasons
I don't have an issue with that argument. I don't know. I mean, you could argue it. That's to me, hypergamy is
just wanting your best bet, right?
Yeah, it's like wanting her best bet, and that when they have the opportunity, or if they have the opportunity, and they want to act on that opportunity, they can and they would. I don't believe that all women will act hypergamously. I think all women have the capability of acting hypergamously. I don't. If you're going to use hypergamy in the sense of, men are going to monkey branch to the next girl that could provide, because you have to use the same definition of hypergamy across the board, and I don't see that. I don't see men getting with women for provisional sake.
No, they get with them for different things that they value. So men value different things. Men value, looks first and foremost, right? Fertility, youth. So they will trade, or they can. They have the capability. Again, I don't speak in absolutes like Rollo does. They have the capability of trading for another woman. I mean, most recently, so Leonardo DiCaprio, he's always like, goes through women after they turn 25 or whatever, right? So that you could argue, again, Rollo's reframing of the term, the sociological term hypergamy, which just simply means marrying into a higher caste. He's put that to say women always looking for their best bet. But you can say the same exact thing about men. It's just within a different context because men and women tend to value different things in a partner. That's all.
But like,
so I appreciate that you agree that men can be hypergamous too.
Oh, I didn't say men could be hypergamous. I don't. I think that men. I just don't have a beef with your argument. I could see I could see how somebody could come to that conclusion. I don't necessarily agree with it. But that to me would, if you're going to use that argument, in my opinion, the definition how women would be hypergamous, you would have to use it the same way for men. You can't change it and be like, well, we're going to change the definition for this gender and this gender because of these things. Like if you're going to use the definition of something, it has to be something that could go across the board as a principle and not be altered. And you're trying to alter it. So, I mean, you're just trying to say that, men are hypergamous because they want the younger, hotter, tighter thing. And, that to me is changing the definition. Because if the definition for hypergamy in the sense of a woman is women wanting to get with the guy that has more money or more, looks or better, this, that, and the other, and she's inclined to get with that guy and leave the guy that she's with if she has the opportunity to, then I would say the same definition that you use for a woman needs to be applied to a man and say, well, men are going to leave the women that they're with for a woman with more money, more provision, more resources, blah, blah, blah. And you're changing it. You're like, well, men are different, so their hypergamy is different than women's hypergamy. And I'm saying that I just don't think you could do that if you're going to use, if the definition of it is this, then it should stay this.
I mean, I don't want to get too far down this point, but I would rebut that by saying, like, well, what would you call it then when a man does that, right? When he just values something else and then trades one woman for another, right? I don't know. Again, we don't have to cover that now.
No,
What I
that's
do
why
want
I'm
to
saying
cover
like
is
that's why I'm saying like I don't have I don't know what the term would be,
I get that.
so I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
respect why you come to that
Agree to
conclusion.
disagree, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I more want to talk about the whole women love opportunistically, men love idealistically thing. Because that is tangentially related to the idea that women are innately solipsistic, right? Because women are innately solipsistic, they are going to love opportunistically because of their hypergamous nature, right? Because they're inherently solipsistic and to put in your words, self-interested, they're always going to pursue their hypergamous nature because that's at the core of who they
See,
are.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're always going to pursue their hypergamous nature. I've never said that. I'm saying that they have the ability to act on that.
Okay, I mean
That's the
look,
difference.
that's a more reasonable position.
That's
But
almost saying like all dogs will bite you because they have teeth.
No, it's like saying all dogs will bite you because it's in their nature to always want to bite people. That's a different thing. That's a different argument.
And I don't agree with that. I think that just because women are hypergamous doesn't necessarily mean they're always going to act on their hypergamous nature. Just because women are innately solipsistic doesn't necessarily mean they're going to act on that solipsistic nature all the time.
But if they're innately self-interested and their biggest self-interest is to be hypergamous, doesn't that mean that they're always going to follow their hypergamous nature?
No, because
so they're not innately solipsistic then.
No, it could be that they're innately solipsistic, but there's buffers in place that cause them that alter them not to act on that. Like you have religions. There's plenty of women that have been married to their husbands for their whole lives and never stepped out on them, not because of their nothing else other than they don't want to be looked down upon their religion. They don't want to be looked bad about their community group that they evolved with. They are more concerned about people's perception of them that would cause them like, oh, I don't want to act out on that. I don't want to act like this because then people are going to think X, Y, and Z of me. So
don't men have those same buffers too? Because don't men naturally want to just? This is according to Rollo. Rollo says that men are selected, women are K selected. So women are, because women are selected like rabbits, they just want to reproduce with everything that they see. So wouldn't you say that it's in men's nature? Because their self-interest, right, is to spread their seed as much as possible and reproduce with as many women as possible. And the only buffers that don't allow them to do that is things like religion.
I don't think that's the only
I still don't understand why that
I don't think that's
fundamental
the only
claim
buffers.
is exclusively toward women.
I don't think it's the only buffers. I think it says that men's innate mating strategy is to have unlimited sexual access, right? That doesn't mean he wants to fuck 1,000 people. He could be like, I just want unlimited sexual access from my partner, from the woman that I'm with. I love this. I love the access that she gives me. I want unlimited sexual access from her.
But that would be K selection though. Then that wouldn't be our selection.
Well, not according to the definition. His definition doesn't say men want to fuck everybody.
I don't know.
He says men want.
Sure that's what he says.
He says that men want unlimited sexual access, right? Not unlimited sexual access from everybody.
Look, our selection theory is the theory that it's the mating strategy of having as many sexual partners as possible. So the implication is that
it's having it's having the opportunity to have a limited sexual access, not partners. Access. That access could be from one person. Could it not?
It can be, but not in the context of being R selected. Our selection theory is having, by definition, multiple partners. Again, we're getting stuck on this point. It doesn't matter, right? I'm not trying to get you here like this. This isn't the thing that's going to debunk you. Something else will. Okay. So, and just all the aforementioned things, but this specific one, you don't have to worry, right? I don't have you backed in a corner here. This is just me.
I'm not worried about anything.
Rollo would agree with me on that statement about our selection, right? My whole thing is saying, that I do have a problem with the idea of women love opportunistically, men love idealistically. I just, because that is tangentially related to the idea again that women are inherently solipsistic, right? Because women are inherently solipsistic, they're always going to be loving opportunistically. Because men are not inherently solipsistic and they're more selfless, like you say, they're going to be loving idealistically. I have a huge problem with that because I think both men and women love opportunistically, and that's part of human nature. Is you're going to be seeking your own self-interest, which again, I don't have a problem with that claim. I have a problem with saying that women are innately self-interested or solipsistic, as Rollo likes to call it, and men are not. That creates a gender war, and it makes the two sexes completely look at each other differently, especially men toward women.
When you look at
That's my issue.
When you look at the divorce rate, okay, when 70% of divorces are initiated by women, half the time the guys don't even know it's coming. Okay, they're thinking that like, oh well, she'll love me for me, for everything that I've done. You know, I've been a good husband. Yeah, I may have been, off beat for a while. I'm just trying to get myself back up there again. But, all the things that I've did before should account for something. That's what he means by idealistically.
You don't think women go through that stuff sometimes too? Where the roles are reversed? What does it have to say specifically about their natures? I don't understand.
What I'm
How does that
saying
make
is
them
like
solipsistic.
what I'm saying is that men hold more credit to what they have built in the relationship, while women are willing to be more, okay, this is a better option. I'm going to go with this. Forget what we built. This is a better option. And we have seen that even in divorce court, family court, we see that playing out all the time. Like no fault divorce is one of the biggest problems, in my opinion, in family law right now.
No, I agree. That's a whole other discussion. That's why I think the manosphere is redeemable, because of things like that. I agree, but the assertion that you made there of like men are more likely to not abandon what they've built while women are, that's again, I think it's probably even. I don't think it's something that is favorable toward women or men inherently as part of their nature, but there is evidence counter to your claim. So for example, here's the evidence counter to your claim.
I'm saying based off of what we see now in family law and in the divorce court, okay, that with women primarily being the one initiating divorce and causing a separation and willing to leave what they have built, that their opportunistic nature or their optimism is like, I could either get something better, or I could do better on my own, or I found someone better, tends to play a role more than, it's just not going to work out. Like guys seem to be willing to want to make it work more for the sake of the idealism of, this is my family, this is my marriage, I am her husband, she is my wife, we can make this work. That's more of an idealistic thought process.
So that explains the single parent household epidemic then, right? Where the majority of single parent households are women, in which the man left the family. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like
that's not even realistic, though.
What do you mean? That's not even realistic?
It's not even factual. I mean, how many of these single parent households are out of wedlock?
Okay, so if you're saying within the context of marriage, you have a point, but hypergamy isn't just within the context of marriage.
That's what when you're talking about men love idealistically and women love opportunistically. I'm talking about in the context of marriage.
Okay, is Rollo talking about the context of marriage when he talks about hypergamy? He talks about it as a whole.
Yes, but you were talking about this in idealistic love in the sense of relationships, and I'm talking about, okay, in the context of marriage, because that's a relationship. There's relationships
outside of marriage. You have to be Are all people in love in marriages? No, I'd reckon to say most people in love are not in marriages. It's probably like half. Maybe eventually they get into marriages, but
I don't think they do so much
just the
anymore.
entire idea that men are just these selfless creatures inherently that will always be there for their family. Like, how do you explain the single parent epidemic where there's a bunch of single moms where the guy just like leaves his family? Again, I'm not making the claim. I want to make this clear. I'm not making the claim that men are more opportunistic than women. I think it's probably equal, right? In terms of our natures. It's just that there's some bad apples that are women, there's bad apples that are men. There's good apples that are women, and there's good apples that are men. But I'm just saying the example that you gave me there, I can counter it with that.
But I think that you're
To make
speaking
that
more of
case.
an out. I'm thinking there's more of an outliner than that. I think
You mean an outlier?
an outlier in that that most of the claims of fatherless homes or single parent homes, one, are caused by not getting married and having sex out of wedlock and having kids out of wedlock. Okay. When you break down the statistics and the facts, you have to look at see how many of them were in a marriage or in a relationship, and how did things transpire from there. I think that has a big factor into it. I think when it comes to marriages, when you see the divorce rate and you see that, I think that speaks to how men seem to be more inclined to make things work and love for the sake of love or for the idealistic nature of love compared to women.
Again, you have your anecdotes to support that. I do, whatever. Right. I think what we should do, Glenn, because this is getting a bit long. I think we should just kind of have like closing statements, and then we'll just kind of end it from there. But dude, I'm happy to have this discussion with you again, and I think you do a podcast with Huds and a few other guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dragon
So
ship with
I'd be
Thor.
yeah, I'd be happy to have you guys or I'm sorry, I'd be happy to go on your show sometime if you guys want me there, and we can rehash this, have this discussion again if you guys want.
Yeah. You want me to go ahead and close? I could close if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. You close and then I'll close after, I guess. Doesn't matter who goes first.
I appreciate this conversation. I don't think neither of us got anywhere with either of us. But that's really typically what debates happen. You're not convincing anybody when people are already.
Well, I'll tell you one thing you did convince me of is that what is it? Because it's just factual. I can't deny it. It's what is it? That solipsistic personality disorder is listed in the DSM.
Well,
so I thought that it wasn't.
Not a personality disorder. It's listed in solipsistic or solipsism syndrome.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say it's a personality disorder. I don't want you to say it's a personality disorder. There's a syndrome.
Okay, okay, fine. So solipsism syndrome is in the DSM. I thought it wasn't. You corrected me. That's fine. My whole thing is more so. I'll go to my statement in a bit. So you continue. Go ahead.
I for the people who are listening, I think that the best thing that you could take from this is that never take anyone's statement for fact, especially when it has to do with yourself and finding help that you need. That if you feel that you're in a situation that you need help, don't take my opinion. Don't take Glenn Lawrence's opinion and do anything. Do your own work. If there's a book out there, if there's material out there that has been claimed to have helped men or helped people, take your time, read it. See what good you could get out of it. Make your own decisions. Don't take anybody's opinion and allow yourself to miss out the opportunity of gaining information that could benefit you. And also, when you approach this work with an open mind, but also be willing to criticize the work. Be willing to challenge the thoughts that are coming from this work. and come to your own conclusion. Okay, don't take anybody's word for it. Do your own work. This is your own life. This is your life. Your life matters, and you have to do the work for yourself. Now, Kevin will say that this work is trash, and he stands by that. That's his own opinion. But be smarter than taking someone's opinion off face value without doing the work yourself. I encourage you to do that.
Okay. So yeah, I'll just we'll go to the heart of the matter. I still definitely believe that Rollo's book, The Irrational Male, is absolute trash. People should not read it, and one of the reasons that people shouldn't read it is because I think it's good to read if you have a good understanding of philosophy as a whole, and you have a pretty decent understanding of the psychological research and just psychology in general, because then you can sort of parse through the things that he says, and you can determine what's conjecture and what's scientific and what's just pure BS. That's debunkable with what psychological literature is out there when he conflates philosophical terms with psychological terms, and go in with a mindset of not already being like a fanboy or a fan of his, right? Because if you look at it objectively, there's a lot of flaws within it. And again, I stand by the fact that I think that The Rational Male is absolute trash, because if you come away from the book, like, one of its fundamental foundational ideas is the idea that women are innately solipsistic while men are not. If you say that that human beings in general are innately solipsistic or innately self-interested, then that's a different claim than to say that one sex is and one sex isn't. And I think a lot of the bad things that happen within the manosphere, a lot of the toxic rhetoric that the manosphere has and feminism has, right? Because they're both ideologies. They're sort of rooted in this idea that like men must be terrible, they're toxic, whatever. Or from the manosphere side, that's what the feminists believe, and then from the manosphere side they say, oh well, women are innately solipsistic. It's like everybody kind of pointing fingers at one another and say who's the bad guy, when in reality I think if we acknowledge that we're all human beings, we're all flawed, men and women definitely do have differences, but we have similar interests, and how they're reflected in our behavior ends up being different, then that's one thing. But I think, unfortunately, The Rational Male is a response to feminism that could be a lot better. And unfortunately, it just ends up being kind of like two sides of the same coin. If you compare like Nazism versus Stalinism, for example, technically they're ideologically opposed, but in actions and their rhetoric, it's basically the same thing, just in a different shade of color. And I'll say this as a last point too. The reason I think that The Rational Male is dangerous is because it makes smart, good men believe in awful things. And I think Glenn is a smart, good man. He served this country, which is amazing. He's a dad, he's a father, seems like a high quality guy. I can tell that he cares about men and men's lives. But unfortunately, he does believe that, women are selfish and men are selfless as a
Please,
whole.
please
And
don't put words in my mouth. I said
okay, so
self-interest.
can you reiterate that? Fine, self-interest. Okay, fine. Oh, I guess he's gone. All right. So that women are innately self-interested, while men are, while men aren't, and that's just not. There's nothing to back that up. And I think if you carry around that idea,
Sorry.
sorry,
Sorry.
but I thought that you like rage quit or something.
No. I said that women are self-interest. I didn't say selfish.
Okay.
So
All right, that's fine. Fine. I'll say self-interested then, right? So if women are innately self-interested, while men are innately selfless or not self-interested, again, that's a fundamental first principle of red pill ideology that just makes all of the bad parts about the red pill bad, because there are redeemable parts about the red pill. We talked about some of it at the end with like no fault divorce and all that type of stuff. Like, I'm totally on the manosphere side from that standpoint. And there's a lot, and just inherently saying like, yes, men and women are different. Like, yeah, of course they're fucking different. People strawman me into saying like I'm some leftist or whatever, when I'm like very libertarian, right, pro-life, gun-loving Texan. So like, like, it's just that I'm trying to be reasonable and not pick sides and be ideological. And I think it's important that before you consume some sort of information, you really try to get yourself as educated as possible. I agree with Glenn. Come to your own conclusions, right? Study philosophy, study psychology, and then after you do that, read The Rational Male, and then from that standpoint, you'll understand exactly what you're reading. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I have to go. I have some stuff that I got to get done. Glenn, thanks for coming on. This was it got heated at times, but I think that's okay because we're both just passionate about about this topic. So I think it's important to have these sorts of discussions. It's sort of disappointing that Rollo can't fight his own fights, but I'll always tussle with somebody who wants to volunteer as tribute and be his I guess fight his fights for him. So you're way more of an honorable man than Rollo is.
I do encourage you to, and I really implore you to do this. I would love to see a body of work that you create. That
it's coming out end of the year. Beyond the Red Pill. I'll send you a free copy when it happens.
That'll be complimentary or something to contrast, because that's something that I feel that is always good in this space. The Bible is not made up of one book. The Bible is made up of tons of books. Okay. And anybody claiming, because I don't claim the Rational Male is the Bible. Okay, it's a tool.
That's good to know, actually. Yeah,
it's a tool. There's useful tools that you could put in your belt, and you know when to utilize these tools. You may not need all the tools, but there's enough tools in there that men could utilize. And I think that's the benefit. That's the positive thing in this. And I look forward to you creating some work that men could utilize as tools as well. So
I'll send that to you when it comes out, for sure. It's going to be called Beyond the Red Pill. So yeah.
With that being said, I'm going to say goodnight. I have a lot of things I got to get done before I hit the set tomorrow. So
all right,
have a good one.
Have a good one, man. Yeah. So closing thoughts. Again, he seemed like a pretty decent guy, but dude, that one thing that he did toward the end there, that was pretty slimy, with the whole like with or without thing. Like, come on, bro. Like, why was that necessary? But yeah, he did not convince me or anybody else that the Rational Male book isn't trash. It is complete trash, and I stand by that. Yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. So, well, anyway. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. And I'll probably be clipping out some parts of the stream here because there's definitely a lot of clippable moments for sure. But look, I would like to. I'm not even gonna bother fucking saying this anymore. I'm always just like, Rollo, you want to debate this shit? But like, this is one of the reasons that we have to do this, because a lot of times, anytime I have somebody who represents Rollo backed into a corner, then they'll be like, oh, well, Rollo didn't say that, or I don't personally believe in that. It's like, I'd rather speak to the actual man himself. But I'll still keep debating your minions if you want, man. But that's just if you want proof of what is exactly wrong with the Rational Male, it's that it makes good men like Glenn believe in terrible, reprehensible things, such as the fact that women are innately selfish or self-interested, sorry, because those are definitely two entirely different things. Women are innately self-interested while men are selfless. And as I stated before, to assume that and have that sort of prejudice about women is it's still under the umbrella of bigotry, right? I compared these two things earlier. If you think that to say, oh, well, black people are innately more likely to stab you, but no, we can't be mad at them. It's just they're in their nature, right? Like, we have to forgive them for being, more stabby. Like, is it racist to make that assumption? Yes, even though it's not rooted in hatred. Same thing with women, to say, oh, women are innately solipsistic, they're innately selfish. When they monkey branch, they can't help themselves, they're hypergamous. Like, that's also, if we're being logically consistent, that's also a bigoted stance to take. And it's up to you whether I was effective in displaying that or not, in that idea. And look, if some of you guys think that, you know, Glenn had some good points or better points, then feel free to tell me why in the comments. I'm curious to hear about it. I will grant Glenn this. You know, I think that was the first time I got in a way in any of these debates, because I have been undefeated in debates up to this point, and I would say including this as well. But there's never been a time in my debates where I got on one point, but this point he got me on with the DSM thing, because I did not know that. I thought that solipsism syndrome was not in the DSM, and he literally just proved that it was. So kudos to him on that. Still, just philosophically, it doesn't really make much sense because it's a philosophical term, solipsism, and the DSM says that solipsism disorder exists, but then the APA, which I trust more, says that it doesn't exist. So, you know, but then again, that doesn't invalidate my argument, because I gave Glenn sort of like that leeway to say, okay, fine, it exists, right? So how is it specifically toward women? And I'd be willing to bet in the DSM, they do not say that this is something that is exclusively, you know, women related or is part of their nature. You know, I think what kind of happened with Rollo, if I'm trying to use Hanlon's razor here, right? Where you ascribe, instead of ascribing malice, you ascribe ignorance. I think for him, he just sort of backwards rationalized and tried to find reasons to justify things he already believed in. And he kind of grabbed onto solipsism as a result. But yeah, it just makes his entire ideology incoherent. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for watching, guys. And I have that debate with Alex tomorrow on Modern Day Debate. I might try to stream it on my channel, but probably not, because they use OBS and not StreamYard, and it's kind of difficult to do that. So, but yeah, I have a big video about carb loading and how to look ripped as fuck in just 24 to 48 hours. That's probably coming out on Thursday. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that video. All right. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a good one.